Aloha nui kako. Welcome to the Makakilo-Kapolei-Honokai Hale Neighborhood Board meeting for this evening, Wednesday, May 27th. We're going to get started today, but before we do, those of you who are requesting to speak at the time that community is able to speak, if you could raise your hand if you are online, and if you're here in person, you can come right up here to the microphone. Each person has 3 minutes. We have several presentations today. Presentations 10 minutes. Other than that, let's get started. If we could get started with roll call.
Yes. Ferreira. Absent. Harris. Present. Bosler. Present. Lidstone.
Ew.
Medeiros. England. Hale. And Ta'ala.
Ew.
Chair, you have quorum with 7 members present.
Mahalo nui. I yield the mic to our chair, Makana Paris.
Mahalo, thank you very much for yielding the mic back. Kalamai, everyone. Because of an anticipated presentation this evening that hit the Star Advertiser's front page, news media wanted to get some opinions. So we started with our first vice chair kicking us off. So as we continue going, if there's any other questions for protocols about how to engage in the neighborhood board, feel free to come to the mic, raise your hand and ask, because the thing we want to impress upon you is that this is the community's forum. It's not the board's forum. It's not the governor's forum. It's not the developer's forum. It's our forum. So, okay. Now we just went through roll call, and then we would like to welcome up Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board and the public. I'm firefighter Kelton Ozuka from the East Kapolei Fire Station. Here to bring you the statistics for April 2026. For fires, there are 0 structure fires, 0 brush fires or wildland fires, 7 nuisance fires, 0 cooking fires, and 34 activated fire alarms with no fire. Other emergencies, there were 168 medicals, 2 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, 3 motor vehicle crash collisions, 0 mountain rescues, 0 ocean rescues, and 3 hazardous materials incidents. Fire safety tip, wildfire prevention and preparedness. Hawaii is entering a period of increased wildfire risk with dry conditions, tall grass, and shifting winds. 1 spark is all it takes. Most wildfires are human-caused and preventable. Take action today with these tips. Clear dry brush and vegetation around your home. Never park on dry grass. This can cause your hot exhaust can ignite it. Avoid activities that create sparks or heat during dry, hot, windy weather. Stay aware of weather and fire conditions. And for more information, visit fire.honolulu.gov and hawaiiwildfire.org. Any questions?
Mahalo for the report and the reminder about how dry things are in the community. Okay, any questions, comments from the board? Any questions, comments from the community at large here at Kapolei Hale or online via WebEx? Seeing none, thank you for your service.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Mahalo. Now let's invite up Honolulu Police Department.
Hi, good evening. Corporal Corey Makino, District 8 Community Policing Team. The statistics for April, motor vehicle thefts for the district, we had 20. In Kapolei, we had 6. Burglaries, we had 14 for our district. Kapolei had 4. Thefts in the district, we had 105. Kapolei, we had 40. Unauthorized entry to motor vehicle, we had 21 in the district. Kapolei had 9. Traffic citations, speeding was 24. Moving violations was 643. Parking violations was 65. Total citations issued was 1,058. Total calls for service for the district was 8,413. And total calls in Kapolei was 2,513. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Mahalo for the report. Any questions or comments from the board? Chair recognizes Board Member Carol England.
Hi, thank you for your report. I just wanted to know, what was that number, 643? What does that entail?
So that's everything other than speeding. So it'll be like traffic light violations, reckless driving, any type of or non speeding related. All speeding is under the speeding. So it would be like, yeah, like I said, um red light violations, not stopping at the stop sign, not crossing over, or unsafe lane change and so forth. So it encompasses everything other than the speeding.
Chair recognizes Vice Chair Michaela Linstone.
Mahalo nui. I have a question about the new Sonic that just opened. There's quite a bit of traffic. There's quite a bit of illegal parking as well on Kunehi Street. I don't want to be that person to complain. I definitely not. But I thought, maybe it'll take a few weeks for it to die down. But I'm noticing that I don't think they have a parking lot for people to park. So there's going to be continuous illegal parking. Do you foresee this? Has this placed a burden on HPD, and do you foresee it continuing to place a burden on HPD with the illegal parking and the traffic on a major thoroughfare, which is Kapolei Parkway?
Well, I know Sonic, as soon as it opened, I know there was a long line, the rush to get there, but as time went on, we've seen the crowd get smaller and smaller. I haven't heard anything regarding parking issues yet. That was reported to us, so I don't know if I can answer that right now.
Mahalo. It just seems dangerous, especially Kupuna, because they're driving and they don't realize a car is parked on the way to Sonic, and so they're waiting, but they're not going to move. It's just I see unsafe conditions on the roads with this new business that has opened up. But mahalo nui.
Mahalo for raising the concerns, and if HPD could get back to us in next month about whether or not it's impacted them, and any recommendations that we might be able to work with our neighbors there, that'd be great. Chair recognizes Board Member Nick Ferrera.
I don't know if this is a question I should be asking the mayor's office, but I saw something in the news recently about a 91% decrease in the number of homeless downtown. I happen to have noticed about 150% increase in the homeless out here in Makakilo-Kapolei, and I'm seeing a lot of new faces out there on our streets. And one of the churches today was just feeding a bunch of them on the front steps of the library, making it difficult for people to get in and out of there. Have you discovered anything about how we all of a sudden ended up with a lot more homeless? And then the other thing too is that Honu that's here, nobody ever came to the neighborhood board to let us know that Honu was coming back. And I don't know if that has attracted a good number of homeless people, but it's starting to get to be where we're seeing them on the center divide begging and laying around everywhere. And it's a real bad optic coming into Kapolei and just seeing the sheer number of homeless people laying around and panhandling. And I just was wondering if maybe HPD knew something about that.
As far as the homeless situation, yeah, we do see new faces in the Kapolei area. I'm not too sure what the reasoning behind those would be. As far as anytime panhandling on private property, their owners are more than welcome to call us to have them removed. Or if any type of nuisance or you feel unsafe conditions, feel free to call us. Just call 911 non-emergency, and we can have an officer address it.
Thank you.
Mahalo for the response and also recognize that later on this evening, we will have a presentation from Kono and hopefully they can provide us with a bit more update. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the community at large? Come on up. Please introduce yourself if you're willing.
Aloha, I'm Barbie Hatcher. Thank you, Chair and board members. I just wanted to do a quick thank you to HPD for following up on my question at the last meeting after my testimony in regards to my auntie's report number, police report number. I think there was just a confusion on what happened that day. And so just thank you. So now I understand what happened and I was able to explain it to my auntie. So I just
Okay.
wanted to say mahalo.
Thank you.
Mahalo nui loa and exercising the chair's prerogative. I just want to say it's always wonderful to hear when community is doing well and right. So that was a wonderful situation that they came to the board and they shared their mana'o and figured out something and then got the information they needed. So really appreciate HPD and all of the civil servants that come here to engage with us. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the community at large? Please come on up.
Yes, my question is, how's the school program going with you guys? I know Waianae, Kapolei, I think it was Campbell, and I know a couple months, like last month or the other month, had a student that brought a gun to the Kapolei school. So are there other schools in the state or neighbor islands gonna join you guys too?
Is for the
Program?
CROs, the SROs, sorry, the SRO officers, the ones reserve officers in the schools. Their question is, yeah. So I believe I'm hearing positive feedback regarding the SRO program. I know they are planning to put out more schools, and we have more reserve officers actually applying for the position. So I do see more schools in the future. Most likely getting the SRO assigned to them.
Going to with the homeless, I know HPD is helping with the homeless right by American Savings Bank right over here. You guys had it before last year, and looks like you guys have it again. I mean, I think the mayor or governor should work on down GOT in White Hallway and open that because that's supposed to be a homeless shelter or thing. I know it's not you guys' fault or what, but like, and how long Don Quixote was closed? Almost 2 years. So, but thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Mahalo community member, if you don't mind letting us know who you are for the record.
I apologize. My name is Mike. I'm from Kapolei.
No worries, Mike. We know you on frequent flyer, but for everybody that no usually know, thank you. And hopefully that comment on Don Quixote can go to the mayor's representative to figure out whether or not we can help them find a place for those that need a place. Any other community questions, comments for HPD? Seeing none, mahalo nui loa, appreciate it.
Thank you.
And let's see if we have Board of Water Supply. I do know that Board of Water Supply has been going through some really intense things lately. So one announcement that they didn't have, and from the special board meeting, the board did support the new pumping apparatus that they're putting into our area to increase the pressure. So if you've been experiencing dysregulated pressure or a low pressure, they just got the approval from the board at a special meeting last week to go ahead and put in an additional pumping station to address the pressure volatility. So, and hopefully when they come back, they can explain more about how that was helping our of our community. Okay. Now, let's go to Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative. Is Deputy Director Zeisman with us? Oh, sorry, wait. Chair recognizes Board Member Sheila Maderas.
I just wanted to circle back with the Board of Water Supply for the record, since they are not here. This question was asked of the Board of Water Supply in August, and I still haven't received an answer. She did say she would get back to the board. So I'm going to just repeat it so that it's on the record and they can provide feedback the next time. What tracking mechanisms are in place to monitor the available water supply to support the population, particularly with the ongoing development of new homes and apartments? What strategies are being implemented to ensure sufficient water supply for this growth? Are there plans for desalination plants? If none exist, what are the reasons? If they do exist, are they currently operational?
Mahalo to Board Member Sheila Maderas raising that question, and the board and the community have been asking these development infrastructure questions for the last 2 years, recognizing that our community is a hotbed for new homes, houses, and everybody wants to move in with major infrastructure. And we will talk about that later, but we want to make sure that we can meet the needs of our current and future neighbors. Now, let's welcome up Deputy Zeisman.
Good evening, Chair and board members and members of the committee and the public. Deborah Zeisman, I'm the mayor's representative this evening. I have a number of updates since we didn't update last month, since you folks had a very full agenda. So some old things, and then happy to take new concerns and bring them back to our folks. So first announcement, the Mayor's Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resilience has released a draft of the first ever Oahu Food System Plan, which is a plan focused on actions that the city can take in our to improve how food is produced, distributed, accessed, and disposed of, while supporting the health of our communities, economy, and the environment. And they are seeking public input on that plan and what's in it, because it's the first ever of the plan. So they are looking for input by June 30th. The plan is at resilientoahu.org. And so please take a look, give your input. It's the first ever. And so they're very much looking for feedback, what we should do. Second, the Kona low storms. The city is continuing extensive response and cleanup and recovery in partnership with the state and federal partners as well. There are many, many resources on oneoahu.org. If you are looking, if your family was impacted and needs support from things like FEMA, SBA, anything else of that sort. I'm happy to take any questions about Kona low as well. Okay, and then follow-up questions from prior months to report back to you all on. First is the Makakilo Drive extension, and there was an inquiry about what are the steps needed to move forward with restarting the process for Makakilo Drive extension. From DTS, the answer is that the Makakilo Drive extension has been identified in the long-range Oahu Regional Transportation Plan that OMPO, Oahu Metro Planning Organization, preps. Federal regulations require that this plan be fiscally constrained, meaning that only projects with identified and reasonably available funding can be programmed for implementation. At present, the extension has been classified as an illustrative project, meaning that there are currently no federal, state, or city funding has been identified for the project. And generally, they noted that generally a project on this scale would rely on federal funding of about 80%. That's usually about the percentage. So at this time, there is no such funding source that's been secured, and without a substantial federal investment, it's likely the project could not advance beyond the conceptual planning that's already occurred. But happy to continue the conversation. The second was also was about a timeline for the traffic calming on Makakilo Drive that we've talked about numerous months. So where they are at, DTS is still working with their consultant on the conceptual drawings for the Makakilo Drive traffic calming north of Palahia Street. Once the proposed measurements and conceptual drawings are finished, At that point, DTS said we could report back with an approximate timeline for implementation, and I believe at that point, they'd also be coming to you for input. Okay, parks, pickleball striping. There was a question because Parks and Rec had said they could not do pickleball striping, and board member asked about an appeal. And Parks and Rec said, thank you for your inquiry, but at this point in time, there is no formal process to appeal the Department of Parks and Rec. And they stand by their decision for the reasons that were previously outlined. They did want me to reiterate that permanent dual striping is not permitted at the tennis courts at Makakilo Community Park. And that is based on the need for safe and equitable access to all park users and prevent conflicts that have unfortunately occurred island-wide, including incidents requiring HPD intervention, disputes over permits, and other such problems. Makakilo Community Park has 2 lined courts on the volleyball court that are available for pickleball play. And in addition, there are numerous other parks in this region with dedicated pickleball courts that they encourage any players to take advantage of. There's a long list. I'm going to provide it to the commission so they can list where all the pickleball courts are rather than them off. And I believe that's all my follow-up. So I'm happy to take other questions.
Mahalo, thank you for the report, and we will start the questions with Dr. Amy Bosler, followed by Sheila Maderas, followed by Board Member Met Ferrara.
Thank you. Would you first please reread that section about what they're calling the Makakilo extension? I just want to hear the wording again.
Yes, okay.
It's not superfluous, but
So in the AMPO, in the Long Range Oahu Regional Transportation Plan, which is prepared by Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, it has been classified as an illustrative project. That's.
okay. Now, I was wondering if you could find out for us, please.
Yep.
What was the criteria used to determine that this is illustrious and not a necessity?
It says that it means that there's no funding identified.
Okay.
I think that's what it means. It's just, there's no funding identified for the project. So it says an illustrative project is one that means that no federal, state, or city funding has been identified for the development.
Thank
you. Yeah, I'm happy to try to seek some more clarification. Sounds like we need federal funds. Pretty substantial amount.
Let's now go to Board Member Sheila Maderas.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for being so responsive, and I appreciate all the work you do to get all of this information for us. I have a few. So the ADA sidewalk, that's the one that I had asked. What is the timeline for the repairs or the extension of that? The ADA sidewalk that is in front of Makakilo Bible Church that has 4 light posts going from in front of it and count 4 light posts up. It is in the middle of the sidewalk. And they agreed when you came back the last time that it is in violation of the ADA and they are going to fix it. My question is, because we need to follow up with the community. It was their grievance. And as a board, it is incumbent upon us to be providing that feedback to the community. So I'd like to know what the timeline is. Like, are they setting their planning right now? When are they going to put lay cement? Like, that's the type of information we need to be providing the community. Second, I still disagree with your pickleball. I'm serious. Yeah, because I don't believe one person should be telling an entire community no. And if there is no process for grievances, then we're gonna push through and want to know who do we go to next. Emergency egress off Makakilo. Now, I understand there was a memorandum of understanding that needed to be signed between the private owner, city, and whoever else needed to sign this MOU in case of a safety emergency. So where is that right now? Because I've heard 2 things. I've heard it was signed and I heard it was in the process of being signed. So what is it? Because summer is approaching fast and furious and fire season, and we do not want to be left with one way out. And the other question I had for HPD actually was, did anybody actually do a recon of that area to ensure that the amount of cars that would be using that egress coming off the hill can actually hold that amount of cars? Like, how many cars can that one pathway safely handle? Because it probably hasn't had like an emergency. We haven't done a emergency like with Haima. We haven't partnered with Haima to test these exits. I would like, if Haima is going to do their next one, should be coming up soon, that they do add Makakilo and in terms of emergency practices, and see if that actual emergency egress is capable to handle all the cars that would come off of it. Next one, environmental assessment. I think that was the last question I had, was the environmental assessment for Makakilo extension that was done in 2009. Is that still applicable? Because if it's not applicable, then we have to also do an environmental study and a plan. So we need to know if it's still valid. And if not, then we need to go back to the drawing board with an environmental assessment and then a plan. Last one. I think that's it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Mahalo. Now to Board Member Mick Farrar.
Hi there. I've been working on the Makakilo Drive completion. This is a project that the city and county has not completed. It's not an extension. It's not a new project. It's not something that city and county has had to find a way to get it done. It was supposed to have been completed when those houses were built down to the end of Makakilo Drive. Everybody wants to keep calling it the Makakilo extension. There is no extension. It's supposed to go all the way down to the freeway. And over these years, it has not. The environmental assessment is still good. It could be evaluated and brought to current, and we've been waiting for that. We had a meeting with the mayor, Mike Formsby, and we had Roger Morton, we had Frank Genadio in a private meeting at City Hall. And we were supposed to be getting the environmental assessment released, and we still have not. So we're wondering where that environmental assessment is, because we need that to be able to get local funding. And that way, if we don't get the local funding, we can go for federal funding. They said that we couldn't get federal funding for it because it's not on the tip. So with it not being on the tip, we can ask for local funding, but we need to get the environmental assessment. So we need to reword that as the Makakilo Drive completion. That's a dead end road that needs to be attached to the freeway. And that has been funded. There's been funding in place for twice now. And each time that funding has been diverted to something else. I think it was the Salt Lake Drive widening, which has plenty of access to it from what I understand. And each time that the funding was pulled, we were saying, well, we're going to be next in line. Well, they finally got it to the point where it was taken off the tip altogether, and we're demanding, not asking, we're demanding that it gets put back on. And with the explosion of the number of people that the city is placing on us to take on with new housing, we need the Makakilo Drive to be completed. That exit where Makakilo Drive gets off to go to either Makakilo or Kapolei, once that 900 and some odd unit development opens across from Walmart, it's going to have traffic backed up onto the freeway, and emergency vehicles can't get through. We need people to be able to get out of Makakilo going the back way. That's one question I've got. The other one is, I read in the news that there was a 91% decrease in homeless in Honolulu. Sis boomba. Like I said few minutes ago, there's been a 150% increase in the number of homeless in Kapolei. And there's a lot of new faces because I kind of keep track of all of them. I've got a spouse who does outreach for Quest, and there's an extreme amount of increase in homeless here. And what I'd like to know from the mayor is, because of the fact that services exist in Honolulu, we want to know how we're going to be able to get all those homeless that we've got back to Honolulu so that they can receive services. I don't know if it was something where they decided to pick them up and move them over here so they can tout a 91% decrease in homeless in Honolulu, but that's not true. What we got was a huge increase out here in the number of homeless. The other thing too, I wanted to know is that HONU that they've got here that I see is not being utilized the way I think it should. Is that something that's city funded as well? Didn't know that. I think it is. One of the things that I discovered was that it's an ADA violation because there was some people, I guess, that I've heard from the outreach people that said that they do not take people who are in wheelchairs. So for that matter, anybody who's homeless, and I've seen 3 or 4 in this area who are in wheelchairs, the HONU will not take them in and provide services. That should be all of it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Now going to Board Member Moon Kahele.
Thank you for your report. During your presentation, you made mention that the Makakilo project is 80% federal funding. It is not an interstate. It is not on federal property. Why is it in the category of federal funding?
I don't know that, I think it's, they usually secure federal funding for this type of project.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you
No,
called
no.
it Makakilo.
And that usually a project of this size would have about 80% of the funding federal, and they have not secured federal funding at this point.
I guess my question is, why is it considered federal? It's not an interstate, it's not on federal property, or why is it in that category?
Any other questions from the board members? Any questions from the, oh yes, go right ahead. Board Member England.
Thank you again. Since I'm the secretary and I do have AI, but sometimes it misses things.
Sure.
What was you're looking for the input on resilient, Mr. Food one?
Oh, it is, the office is the Mayor's Office of Climate Change, Sustainability and Resiliency. And the plan is the Oahu Food Systems Plan.
And what was the .org?
Is resilientoahu.org.
Also, this is another question that I was waiting to see if anybody else had touched bases on the extension or the completion of Makakilo. How do we get our project then 80% in the funding, federal funding? Like, what do we need to do to get the 80%? Because that seems to be a stumbling block. So, you know, if they can help us, maybe we can do something.
Mahalo. Any other questions from the board? Going to the community at large. Any questions for the mayor's office? Come on down. Please introduce yourself if you're willing.
Hi, my name is Leticia Hernandez. I am a Villages of Kapolei resident. I have 2 topics that I want to bring up, and one of them is pertaining to the land transfer between the city and county and the state. In the 2025 state fiscal report, they had reported that over the course of the next 10 years, it's going to cost $10 million each year for maintenance or road rehabilitation. I'm sorry. And $1 million for maintenance each year. And the negotiation is at $60 million for 10 years. That is approximately a deficit of $50 million. I just want to know, as a homeowner or my partner, and as her partner, I just want to know
what are the plans that are being put in place when the deficit happens? Because it eventually will happen. Over the course of 10 years, given the inflation, X, Y's, and Z's. And what is more concerning is that understanding that for the last 30 plus years, as we pay property taxes, a portion of the property taxes, to my understanding, goes into infrastructure, road, road repavements and stuff. And I did get a chance to speak to Mr. Albino, and he did let me know, hey, 30 plus years of infrastructure payments was rediverted. I get it. But when there's a lapse, I just want to make sure that when the lapse happens, that the repair still continues to happen. Because we did get a copy of just the interim, I guess, proposed agreement. And in there, under the repayment or payment plans, it does state that if the payment tends to fail on the state's behalf, that the city will cease all work until they catch up. And I think that it's hard knowing that we've paid 30 plus years and we didn't receive a penny in infrastructure rehabilitation, that we would just suddenly say that we're going to stop. I just want to make sure within the next 10 years that we still continue to get that completion, right? And, I know a lot of it was because of Act 15 that was established in the 1980s, late 1980s, which allowed them to just bulldoze and get all these things done. But now this is the drawback, right? So how do we ensure that that gets done? My second topic is the Makakilo Hills, right? There was a lot of politicians up here, saying, hey, how come we didn't hear about amending Act 73, X, Y's, and Z's? I did some research, and on December 3rd of 2024, it was published that there was considerations given to amend Act 73, right? And with that, it actually states that on the little map that they give here, that the Makakilo Hills would be withdrawn from that. I just want to know, how do we go back to getting that put back on? Because there's about, I see here on this exhibit, there's 5 places that are out in Hawaii Kai, and none of that is being mentioned, right? And I know that here, I've calculated roughly 17 months that have passed since this has been put out by the mayor's office. And in here, it goes into everything that they have thought about, right? Not just Act 73, they bought up the Red Hill water stuff. It's all in here. So it's not like all these things just recently came to light. It was already established, considered, and I don't understand how this just got swept under the rug and we're back saying time is of the essence. I understand time is of the essence, but can we go back to this drawing board and extract what we could be used as viable sites to upkeep Mr. Blangiardi's promise to West Oahu that there won't be a landfill here? Those are my only 2 things for the mayor's office. Thank you.
Mahalo. So only 2 things.
I have.
Okay. Yes. Mahalo for being a Maka'ala resident. So for those that didn't have context, so the first one, it was the transfer of land for the villages of Kapolei from HHFEC to the city and county of Honolulu. So all of the roadways, and that's where we had our jurisdictional issues with HPD and whether or not they could tag or they could tow. So at least one of the silver linings is that they did tow, and they did take all of those cars out that didn't have registration. And I'm like, and I actually saw a Corporal Pagan, like a pagan outside of my door, and I was like, mahalo. He was cracking up because we've been trying to get that to happen all this time. But our community member brings a really good question. It's about ongoing maintenance, and that we were already paying our property tax for maintenance. And it seems like between the state and the city, it seems like they took our resources and then now we're going to be left holding the bag anyway. But we already paid, right? And now this is a reoccurring story we have here in West Oahu. Makakilo Hills proposal. but we are already hosting. Like, was like, so this is coming over and over again on West Oahu, particularly in our communities. So this narrative is something we hope to break. And we hope Mayor Blangiardi upholds his promise that you can figure something out. Now, before we go to the next one, board member I saw a community member, but is there a board member that wanted to say something? Okay, next community member, come on down.
Hello, Chair. Sorry.
Yeah, you the one. Junk in a pole, like.
So I'm bigger than my name is Ronnie Munikata and I live in Makakilo. About the traffic calming. My only comment is the last time they talked about traffic calming, they took all the street parking up and down Makakilo off books and they said, no, you cannot park on the streets. It's a little bit of a problem because a lot of those places are condos and townhouses, and we need that on-street parking. Secondly, they decided to put a roundabout with no traffic light at a major intersection that kids have to cross in order to get to Mount Kalani Elementary School and other schools. Now, then they wouldn't put crosswalks mid-block, but they did it in McKinley after somebody got killed, which I really resent because the people in Lower Makakilo have to come, they have to cross that street to get to Makakilo Elementary, and it's dangerous. And third, they wanted to take the parking so that they could have a bike lane up and down the hill so people could get exercise. I'm sorry, nobody in their right mind bikes up that thing unless they're triathletes. So I refuse to allow them to do that without consulting the homeowners along the side of the street, because we need our parking for guests and we don't need them. You can get down the hill, getting up the hill is another thing. Thank you.
Mahalo for raising the concerns again about Makakilo Drive. Come on down, next community member.
Aloha, Chair. Actually, it's just a clarification if you could. I do have questions for the city pertaining to my original testimony. Is this the appropriate time?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Aloha, Chair, members. I am Barbie Hatcher. For context, my last testimony before this board regarding this matter was on April 22nd. Since then, there still has not been any meaningful resolution, repairs to the fence, accountability, or direct apology to my auntie. This issue began when Representative Souza installed campaign banners with screws into my auntie's wooden fence without permission. When my cousin informed her that permission was never given, instead of acknowledging the mistake, the discussion shifted away from consent and property rights and toward political accusations, blame, and attack. Following my testimony in April, Representative Souza stated she was present in her official capacity before falsely accusing me of being part of her opponent's campaign and referring to a smear campaign against her. For the record, I am not a part of her opponent's campaign, nor have I contributed financially or held any official role. Representative Souza continues to push that narrative because I volunteer at the Hawaii Food Bank Distribution Drive in Kapolei, where her opponent is the organizer. I want to be clear, helping feed our community does not make me a part of a political campaign. As I stated before, this issue is not about politics or political opponents. It is about accountability and taking responsibility when a mistake is made. At this point, I am asking the city for guidance because I have reached out to multiple agencies, including ethics and legislative offices, and questions remain unanswered, or I have received little meaningful meaningful response. My question to the city are, when a complaint involves a state elected official causing damage to private property, who ensures it is reviewed by the correct agency? What recourse does a constituent have when that elected official does not respond to concerns regarding their conduct? How is accountability enforced consistently, especially when constituents, as my auntie, are impacted? My aunt, Kathleen Suapia, is here tonight because she is disappointed, frustrated of false accusations, redirection, and lack of accountability and transparency surrounding something that should have been managed respectfully from the beginning. This process undermines trust in the systems intended to uphold ethical standards and protect our residents, especially our kapunas. Auntie, would you like to come up and make a statement?
That means over here, and I did not give permission for her to put her signs to drill those signs onto my wooden fence. So I'm very upset with it. She owes an apology because that's a crime what she did. She didn't have no permission to go and do this to my fence. Thank you.
Mahalo, thank you for the questions now directed to the mayor's office. Okay. Now, so for context, right? You come up right after. For context, right? We're understanding that the neighborhood board is your forum and they're trying to get the answers that they're seeking. And this is the third time that they're trying to get the answers that they're seeking. Now, just to be clear, just because people make statements at the neighborhood board doesn't mean that you don't do your due diligence and you go fact check to see whether or not anybody's saying is actually factual or correct. So we give each other the benefit of the doubt. We try to actually make sure that we are on the same page and use this forum as a place to resolve problems. So in that light, we also want to provide a platform for the sitting representative to share. So go right ahead and you can provide your manao.
Thank you. Aloha, everybody. State Representative Kalani Souza. This is the second time I've had to address this matter, and it's so unfortunate that we're utilizing this time once again to go over this. So for context, I received many calls and correspondence from constituents who live along Awawa Street, first and foremost telling me several months ago that a neighborhood board member who is sitting right there, Sheila Medeiros, who's running and has filed papers to run for office against me, has gone up and down Awawa Street with other members. I'm not sure who they're actually talking about because they don't know the identities of these other individuals, and have asked community members who I have banners drilled onto their fence to do a formal complaint and police reports against me to help her. That is the first I heard about this issue, okay? Secondly, Barbie Hatcher is a member of Sheila Medeiros' campaign team. I have a picture here, Exhibit A. Okay, yes, this is the Hawaii Food Bank here at the Kapolei High School. But the context is that on TikTok, Sheila Medeiros references Barbie, her husband, and the other individual in this photo, who I believe may be Carol England, here sitting here, another board member, as members of her team that she's so grateful for. They're all wearing Medeiros jerseys, okay? People in the community have also seen Barbie campaigning with her, okay? Secondly, after that, I received a letter to my official state email address, okay, which was reported to the sheriff's department, asking me for full compensation. They want money, okay? I'm not providing money. You have to go through the official routes, sue me. Go through the civil routes. Everyone has asked you guys to do that. And yet you come to the neighborhood board 3 times to make this a public spectacle. This is a smear campaign, as I have mentioned before. And you know what? I will say, out of respect for Auntie, Auntie is correct. I did not get permission from Auntie. I got permission from a male at that address. And when I went to her home, there was a male who gave me permission. And I never go to homes alone when I put up banners. Someone always comes with me. So I do have a campaign team member who can also vouch that we did receive permission. Also, just so everybody knows, I did get permission in other campaign years. 2022, my banners were on that fence. I received permission. It was up there for months and months at a time. 2024, same thing, months and months at a time. This time I put it up in November. I only received word because I went up there because a constituent called me and said, your banners are on the sidewalk damaged. And I said, what? I was just up there. Come get them. Okay, so I went up there, saw it torn all over the street. I yelled over the fence, hey, do you guys know what happened to my banners? The daughter comes to the fence and says, you didn't have permission. And she admitted that she damaged it. So I filed a
30
police report with the
seconds.
Honolulu Police Department. The bottom line is enough of the smear campaign. I filed a complaint with the Neighborhood Board Commission against Sheila Medeiros and others for their participation in this matter. Enough is enough. You're going to run for office, do it pono. Do it pono. Enough is enough. Okay, enough with the smear campaign. If you guys want your fence repaired and if you want the money, you take me to court. I'm not giving anybody 1 penny of money and you're not. I'm sorry. Auntie, I am sorry. I am sorry that there was a miscommunication. I'm sorry that there's misunderstanding. I did apologize to your daughter that day because I did tell her that, hey, if there was miscommunication, I'm sorry. But other than that, I am not paying for damage to a fence that's not there. It's not visible. There's no damage. News stations have come to me saying that they're trying to get the news to do stories on this. The news even told me this is a sham. They even told me don't pay. Okay, I'm not going to pay 1 penny unless you take me to court and do it the formal way. Thank you.
Mahalo, appreciate it. Everybody take a breath and release. Now, I allowed the city representative to respond because there was an inquiry from a community member to the mayor's office regarding process. Right. Now, we are not here to discuss what was said regarding the matters before us because the inquiry is about process. If the community members would like to like and go outside of stuff, like I will volunteer my services to go talk story with you after the meeting, because now we're going to get back to the business at hand. Okay. Any further questions or comments for the mayor's office? Yep. Come on down. MP coming down, and while she's coming down, go right ahead, Member Carol England.
Just wanted to clear my name, Representative Souza. From January to now, I have not been active with Sheila Medeiros' campaign. I have been working with Representative Shimizu, and we just got off. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that there's nothing here.
No worries. Okay, now go right ahead.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a statement. I've been here over 50 years. I've been here from the beginning when they had politics, and you're talking about the signs. All that wall was built by finance factors back in the 70s. I've been involved with this community from the very beginning. The extensions where we've been fighting, and because the politics wasn't strong enough here, that's why it never happened. I have facts where I worked with Frank and the board for years. I've been involved with the PCA, the 3,000 some members for years. And as of politics, I have never had a problem like I see now. Now, I talked to our association that I'm involved in with 4 boards I'm on, and I told them, no political signs. It's in our DCCRs, and that's what's allowed. And I ask that everybody, I'm sending our direction from our boards to enforce the rules. If we don't have the rules set by the city, why are you making us do HOAs? Get rid of them. If you want to enforce the other condo laws, either enforce them or get rid of them. But the representative's been asked for several times to help us. They have not helped us. Enforcement, well, one asked me today when I was talking to people. He asked me, how can I get a permit? How long is it going to take? Is it really a year? Can I do this? I said, I can't tell you. I said, I don't get an answer from the people when I send out emails. I'm not getting the answer. I haven't been able to I write emails to our representatives, and I have got some answers, but I'm not asking, but I know about the neighborhood board. I've been with the neighborhood board when my husband was commissioner. I've been involved with this board for a long time. I know the pros, the cons, and everything. But it's got to be, stop this bickering. We aren't here to bicker. We're here to make it safe for everybody and look at what's the best for everybody. But you aren't listening. The city is not listening because we do not want to be dumped on anymore with the hillside. You know, pick up there a beautiful scenery in Cololina to make it a landfill. Why do we deserve that? I think we need to look at the Makakilo extension. They come through. They don't have a safe way out. All the other places you buy downtown. I go down to the Honolulu Straw and we have these bicycle lanes. We spend all that money and then we're going to spend the money for someone to walk over so they don't have to drive over. What about our side? What about it? What are we going to do? You guys represented us. You don't have any power, but you need to get that legislature to listen to us. You need to get the people involved and get people to go out and see what's really happening, because that's the only way it is. I've been involved. I haven't been involved for a while, but I am involved now because it affects my community. And I appreciate if all of you would get the city to start doing things for the west side and start doing stuff for us. Thank you.
Hello, Andy, for dropping some wisdom and some perspective. Any other questions, comments, or concerns for the mayor's office from the community or board members? Okay, going to board member Sheila Maderas.
It's not for you, actually. Thank you so much, Representative Kanani Souza. I appreciate you being here. Just to clarify, Barbie is not part of my campaign. That total that she has is part of the Kapolei food drive. Yes, she has never been part of my campaign, but thank you. Also, I have nothing to do with her actions. This is another deflection of her own behavior. I was informed of the fence after the incident happened. My campaign has absolutely nothing to do with Kanani Souza's behavior. So that's all I need to say, but I wish you luck and thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the mayor's office? Seeing none, I will leave it with this. At the special meeting of the board last week, the board did pass a resolution in full support for full funding for the Office of Economic Revitalization. And Deputy Weisman is the deputy there. Now, it baffled us when we had our conversation why the city would strike 20 employees down to 3 for a department that actually does critical services to our community, especially across West Oahu. So it's mind-boggling that it's not just Makaiva Hills, but the department that's helping our community with resourcing, entrepreneurial spirits, new businesses, the flood victims, and they get cut to 3 different positions. It is super bizarre. That was our analysis. We do not understand why that was happening, and we support your full funding, and we appreciate what you're doing. So, mahalo. Okay, now let's go to Councilmember Andrea Tupolo's office. Okay, she is not here. I know that she indicated that she was not going to be present this evening, but in case one of her office mates are here, we will allow them to speak at a later time. Is there Hawaii Department of Transportation? Office of Foreign Affairs? Okay. And now let's go to OMPO, Oahu Metropolitan Planning Organization, and our board's liaison, our community liaison, Uncle Frank Donabio.
Mr. Chair, I'll just give a short report on OMPO and then I'll address the drive issue. There was no Citizen Advisory Committee or CAC meeting in May. The board meeting last month did not include the April report for OMPO. At the April CAC meeting, Miley Greenhill of OMPO covered revision 7 to the federal fiscal years 2025 to 2028 Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP, which removed 4 projects and added 9 for the Hawaii Department of Transportation. It was approved for the policy board to act, and as usual, I opposed it because the TIP does not list the completion of Makakilo Drive. Regarding what the mayor's rep mentioned about the drive completion being illustrative in the Oahu Regional Transportation Plan, it would not even be in the ORTP without my detailed comments, and they added it afterward. The considerable time and effort expended earlier on providing testimony for completing Makakilo Drive toward the mayor's town hall meeting at UH West Oahu went for naught as the meeting was canceled due to the administration's concentration on island recovery efforts following the heavy rains. It should be noted that when resident John Shockley sent out a cancellation notice on the Nextdoor website, he received 753 responses. The full Hawaii State Legislature never acted on 2 companion resolutions urging completion of the drive, SCR 132 and HR 149. Roger Morton, the city's Director of Transportation Services, the DTS, in his testimony opposing SCR 132, indicated that the city is exploring, quote, the potential development of a limited emergency access route that could be used during disaster or evacuation scenarios, end quote. This to me is a red herring meant to divert attention away from the major product needed by area residents. I again ask the board to demand that DTS place a screen line counter on the drive between the H1 exit and the very first traffic signal to determine how many vehicles use this vital artery on weekends and weekdays. Mr. Morton addressed the drive as a catch-22 issue. It's really more of a kabuki dance from the city, not catch-22. If the policy board adds the completion of the drive onto the TIP, federal funding could be addressed covering safety and congestion management issues. And I would bet somebody mentioned 80%. That would be what the feds would kick in for the drive's completion if we could just get it into the TIP. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Uncle Frank. Any questions for our Uncle liaison? Comments from the board or from the community at large? Okay. Recognizing, go right ahead, Dr. Amy Bosler. Go right ahead.
Sorry, I believe we've asked this of you many times, Uncle, but can you verbalize again what our board or what our community can do to help get this project on the TIP? What you've already tried, maybe do you have suggestions on how we can organize as a community to demand the completion of this project? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It all depends on the policy board of OMPO. Those are the people that actually control what goes into the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP. If they put it in there, they can then go to the Federal Transit Administration and say, we need money to complete the drive. And because it's a congestion management and a safety issue as a single access, I would bet you $1 to a donut that the feds would kick in the funding that's needed to supplement the city. Can I help any more? I don't know what else to say. It's all about the policy board. If there's over 3,600 members of, for example, the PCA, if 10% of those people showed up at a policy board meeting and addressed the completion of the drive, you'd bet they'd act.
Awesome. Thank you for the reminder in the process where we can influence and engage. So it'll be greatly appreciated, Uncle Frank, if you let us know when there's the next policy board meeting, the location, address, and time, and then we can broadcast that to our community members about showing up to do exactly what you recommended.
Mr. Chair, I leave tomorrow morning for a mainland trip. I'll be gone over 3 weeks, but as soon as I get back, I'll be right on it again.
No problem. This issue is not going away anytime soon. So take care of yourself.
Thank you.
The request from OMPO, if Deputy Director Zeisman could also put that in to her report. And it also jogged my memory, given what Auntie earlier said about the traffic calming measures. When BTS is looking at traffic calming and try to reconfigure all of the things, and you ask them nicely to actually consider putting in a stand, a sidewalk street radar pole, like as a standalone street radar pole, like, because our community notices when the mobile one comes out, people get more aware and they slow down. And we're just guessing that one of those might be cheaper than rearranging and putting in humps and flower beds and, all the rest of the things. But that's our uneducated, not professional guess. Thank you. Yeah. Now, last call for reports from Board of Water Supply, Councilmember Kapolei-Honokai office, HDOT, and OHA. Hearing none, we get to the exciting part of the agenda to be able to hear good news and new news from community members. This evening, starting us off is Vice Chair of the Neighborhood Commission, Mr. Larry Verre. Him deciding to save us 5 minutes this evening will be deferred to the next meeting for presentation. And I will send them a thank you note. Now let's welcome up the representatives from the Homeless Outreach and Navigation for Unsheltered Person, Mr. Edward Hayden and team with Honu's return to Kapolei. Aloha and welcome.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come out and talk to you about the HONU program. I'm Ed Hayden. I'm the administrator for the Community-Based Development Division of the Department of Community Services. And here with me tonight is
Aloha Chair, aloha members, aloha committee. My name is Roy Miyagura. Thank you for welcoming me back. I'm Director of Homeless Solutions for the City and County.
Yeah. So for HONU, apologies that we didn't have the chance to come out previously due to unforeseen circumstances. We weren't able to get out here for last month's meeting. But wanted to just give you guys all a quick introduction to HONU and then talk a little bit about what the program is, what our goals are, as well as some of the benefits and things like that that we've seen over the last few months, and then what we also are looking to bring out to your community. So HONU is the Homeless Outreach and Navigation for Unsheltered Persons program. So HONU, we are the primary entry point into the homeless services system for the city. HONU is a 24/7 intake shelter. We're the only one that does 24/7 intake on the island. So this is really important piece because people are out there 24/7 and to go. So one of the things is we are a referral source for HPD as well as CORE for EMS services. So they can bring people in at any time. which is a really beneficial piece. One of the important things for our program is that we are also, so people can come into services rather than like say getting a citation or being arrested for some of the issues that people run into. They can go to HONU as a source for that. So the program is also focused on the outcomes, not just in the sheltering. So a lot of what HONU does is we help to navigate people onto the next positive step in their journey out of homelessness. We deliver benefits to the broader community. So any of the program or any of the areas that we go into, we try to create an outreach to homeless people in the area and bring them in and then help them to navigate into a more permanent place, more permanent housing. Go to the next slide. So HONU was started back in December of 2019. The very first location was at the Waipahu Cultural Garden, and then it was later transitioned into many others. So on the next slide, we'll talk about, or we'll show some of the sites we've been to. But one of the things, sorry, move back really quick. So HONU is a mobile outreach shelter. So as you guys have probably seen out here in the Musubi lot over there, we are out in tents. We're able to move to different parts of the island, and we do that so that we can provide outreach to the most broad amount of people as possible. We're also able to target areas where we do see homelessness rising, so we can go and target specific areas and try to bring people in and navigate them out to other shelters. Okay, next. So like I said, so here's many of the sites that we've been to since we started back in 2019. Our last location was at the Waipahu Plantation Village. And so we just moved out of there and have just come back to Kapolei. Okay, so some of our goals. So again, talking about HONU's primary goal is to help to navigate people out of homelessness into their next positive step. So HONU is an emergency shelter. We're not a long-term shelter, but we're primarily focused on navigating people into the next step, right? So one of the other shelters they'll work on more permanent living solutions. The HONU is typically someone's stay in HONU is usually hovering around the 10-day time, which is what we really are trying to look for, is we don't want people to really stay in HONU. It's a transitional point where we bring them in and then we connect them to the other services. So one of the important things is we get them off of the street into a safe space where they're able to get meals, they're able to get showers, things like that. And so that they can then get out of the crisis mode into then working on a more long-term solution. So again, it's a 24-hour service, short-term turnaround. And we're really focusing on meeting them where they're at and helping connect them to other homeless services. So just a couple pictures of some of the tents. This is out from our last one. This was over in Blaisdell Park, I believe. So just some examples of the tents and the area that we work with. Okay, so from Waipahu Plantation Village, so here's some of the data from when we were there last. So we were there for about 7 months. And so the total number of people we served while we were there was 391 individuals. And then we navigated 208 of those people into a more permanent living situation. So those would be shelters. A lot of also what we do is we try to connect people back with their family if they've lost touch. So we'll help connect them so that they can go back to get the support from family members. We also connect them with substance abuse treatment or additional medical services if they might need it. Okay, and the next one. So this talks a little bit more about where we transition people to, right? So of the people we transitioned into positive, people we moved more into a positive situation, 158 of those went to a shelter. So 24 of them were reunited with friends or family. We relocated 6 people to the mainland or the outer islands. And then we assisted 9 in going into transitional or boarding houses, and then 11 to further medical treatment or substance use treatment programs. Okay, so here's some data from the last time we were out here in Kapolei. We did 606 intakes. So of those 606, 217 were from Kapolei, Makakilo area. So of those 606, 75 people were from families. So elderly, so 68 were between the ages of 50 and 59, and then 79 of them were 60 plus. We also had 19 people coming from reentry programs. So of the outcomes, so of those people, 258 we were able to place in an additional shelter. 52 of them we were able to reunite with friends or family. 15 were relocated off island. And again, transitional boarding house or other permanent housing was 41. And then 27 were to further medical or substance use treatment programs. Yeah, so looking at kind of the history of everything we've done with HONU since we started, the total number of people that we serviced were 5,029 people came through the HONU program since we started in 2019. And of them, 2,742 were navigated to a more permanent living arrangement, so to another shelter or one of the other items that I discussed previously. Yeah. Really quick. So some of the successes. So HONU is a one-of-a-kind program, and that our focus is really meeting people where they're at and figuring out their needs, and also providing for the needs of the community. Again, 24/7 shelter, with the intakes, and then we're deployed again, so usually between 4 to 7 months in any one location, and then we'll transition to another area. And this is usually in collaboration with the Department of Parks and Recreation. We usually are in a park, sometimes in a lot like we are here in Kapolei. And then one of the things that we're really proud of is our staff are really good at working with clients. And so we place between 50 to 60% of people are transitioned to a positive outcome, which is, a really good number for this population. So that is about it for HONU. So we are available for questions if you guys have any.
Mahalo nui loa for the presentation. Questions, comments, or concerns from board members going to Dr. Amy Bosler, followed by Vice Chair, and then Sheila, and then McFerr.
All right, I have a little list, but I might cut it short so everyone can ask their questions. Last time HONU was here, there were questions about getting IDs and birth certificates, and that people were coming, but there wasn't funding. So I was wondering if this time around, is there funding that people are able to get their state IDs so that they can get the next services?
Yeah, so that's not one of the specific things that HONU necessarily normally does, but it's part of our program because people are coming to the program, and since they're there while we're working to transition them, then we do that as part of our navigation. And so, yeah, we do have, there are some forms where we can actually get waivers for state IDs. So we do that.
Okay. The next question that was brought up multiple times tonight was, are these tents ADA accessible? Because we do have at least 3 community members who are houseless and are wheelchair bound.
Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, due to the nature of the HONU, we can't really accommodate. So we can't accommodate specific medical conditions, right? Because the way HONU is, you're actually sleeping on the ground. We don't have raised beds. So people do need to be able to care for themselves. We also don't have the staffing expertise or capacity to be able to care for people with a higher level of immunity. So in those cases, we do have to try and navigate those people to other places.
Okay. And lastly, I'm a humanist. I care about every community member, and I care about people as individuals. And it's very concerning to me that when we think about these numbers, that 606 came for help and 393, because I just added up quickly, 393 got help. So I'm wondering what happened to what happened to everyone else? Because that's a lot of people falling through the cracks. A lot of people still out on the streets, and I'm concerned about the people who aren't getting it too.
Yeah. And so that is a really important one that we are trying to work on. So there's a variety of reasons why people aren't navigated onto the next step. So typically the largest one is people just exit themselves. So we don't have the exact reason for those, but those are typically, so people will leave for the day for whatever reason, and then they just never come back. That's the vast majority of them. Some are exited due to violation of rules, things like that.
And then one last question as a follow-up. You had said that typically people are with you for 10 days. So what happens to people after 10 days? Are they just evicted out?
Oh, no,
Sorry,
no, no.
no.
No, that's
you're
our,
out?
that's our average time.
Okay.
So we do have people that are there for a significantly higher amount of time. And those are typically families as well as couples. Typically take the longest time to transition because just the way that the homeless system is set up, there's not as many bed spaces for like larger families and couples. There's lots of spaces more for singles. So for single male, single female, than there are for couples. So yeah, we don't kick anybody out as long as they're, you know, trying to work and
And finally, you mentioned bed spaces just now, but then previously in your comments, you said people are on the ground.
yeah, yeah. So
They're in sleeping bags on the ground or?
yeah, so we provide them the space, but typically people come with their own like bedding materials. We do get donations of some materials that we give to people when we have it.
Go right ahead.
Why did you folks leave in 2024?
Why do we leave?
Yeah.
Because we were just transitioning into the next phase. So we typically stay in a location for 4 to 7 months, and then we move on to a new location.
So why do you keep it so short? Or why is there, just when you look at program impact, it seems like consistency and reliability is impactful.
Yeah.
So when you're in a place for a short period of time, you lose that reliability and that consistency and hence that impact. So have you thought about just minute locations for Honu and seeing how that would be impactful?
We have thought about that. And that is one thing we would like to do. We'd like to have a roving Honu as well as a permanent Honu that could support longer term projects. But currently the way the system is designed is to be mobile so that we can target different areas of the island.
I wonder if rethinking the design would be helpful, especially when you look at program impact. It seems antithetical to impact. You really want reliability and consistency, and it's strange to leave when the need is still there because you're only going to be here for that. You know, so you're not really serving the need. You're serving the timeline, which is different.
Board Member Sheila Maderas.
Hi, Ted.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your job.
Thank you.
So she brought up a good question, Dr. Bosler, about IDs and all the different services. So Andrea Tupola, council member, she already has a program, R3, that she does once a week. Are you folks partnering with her? Because that program provides all of the essentials like IDs, in fact, they have pet care and several different things. So I think ideally it would be a good match because they do it once a week out of the library.
Okay.
Yeah, right here, Kapolei Library. So maybe check with her staff and then so that you folks can partner together and provide those services. Now, in terms of, it was a shocker that that you folks were there and no one knew. So is there a long-term calendar that you folks, long-range calendar that you folks set up different sites so that we can know when you guys are leaving and when you will be coming back, so we can notify the public and let them know, hey, Honu's are coming here. So, you know, if anybody else needs help, if we know the houseless community, we can notify. So it's just about community awareness and making sure that people who need the support can get it. And then the last one is, you said 55% success. What does success look like?
Okay, so starting for your last question first, so 55% success is where we've transitioned the person onto a next positive step. So into another shelter, like a more long-term shelter, permanent housing, or that we've connected them back to family or transitioned them, island to connected family, something like that. That would be positive. So for your second question, we don't have a very long-term schedule set out. Typically what we do is after a few months in a location, we start looking at, okay, where is our next location going to be? And we typically determine that based on the needs, like what are we seeing? So we work really closely with the community, with other community programs, nonprofits, but where they're seeing higher levels of need or situations that are occurring. And so then we'll target those areas. And then that kind of goes back to your question about why are we in a shorter amount of time, is that we stay mobile so that we can address needs in various different parts of the island. Unfortunately, we don't have enough money to set up a Honu in every community, which we think we would love to do, to support, because we think it's a great program. But we stay mobile so that we can try and provide the services everywhere to everybody.
Mahalo, board member.
Thank you. I've met with several people who work for the different outreaches. HMSA, they have patient navigators who keep people out of the EDs and refers them to clinics. United Healthcare provides services. They refer people to housing clinics and that type of thing. They go out to where the homeless are at and try to get them into services. Quest, they insure the indigents for healthcare. Churches like Mana delivers meals. They were just delivering meals in the library steps today. US Vets has an excellent program for veterans where they have full service and houses them and really serves a vital need in our community. And AmVets, not so much, but they have a food pantry that's open to the public and vets. I have a concern that with this type of Honu that they're not providing at least cots or blankets or something like that. The majority of the people we have in our community are drug addicts and not just people who happen to be houseless. And some of the stuff that we deal with shoplifting and things like that are really something that's starting to take front and center. We were wondering if you folks, we've got Social Security, we got the state here. Do you guys actually assist them with their paperwork to get EBT, SNAP, and general assistance since the building is just right up the street?
Yeah, so what we try to do, like I said, our time frame is fairly short, so we typically get people started in that process. Unfortunately, we usually can't get them everything right away. But so the people who do stay with us longer, we do assist in doing that because our main focus is helping them to navigate onto a more permanent shelter. But while they're waiting with us, we do try to get them started on all of those public assistance programs, IDs, things like that. So we'll get them started. They may not finish or get it by the time they leave, but yeah.
And do you guys have the funding to actually pay for these folks to get their state IDs so that they could apply for other things?
So what we have is a waiver with the Department of Communities or Customer Services to help them get their state ID. So there's a waiver for homeless services. So it's an attestation from us that this person is homeless, so they can get a waiver for the fee for that. So typically what we'll do is we also provide some transportation for them to go down to, well, now that we're here, they can just come across, which is a lot easier.
Right, right.
But typically we transport people to their appointments and things like that.
And because of the fact that there's usually a couple of police officers on the location, it kind of prevents some of the people who are under the influence and that type of thing from coming out to get any kind of services. But do you folks help at all with assisting them with applications to, let's say, go to Hinamauka or Po'olani substance treatment places? Because that kind of gets them out of your system and into something that's a short-term residence, but gets them clean too.
Yeah, that's a very important part, and part of our statistics is those transitions. So part of the medical and treatment services is we do work closely with the substance abuse treatment programs, with like Malka, as well as the detox center that IHS has. So we collaborate with them for people who do need that. But people in our program can't be actively using while on premises. With one of the issues, and we don't allow substances into the home tent.
Right, and so that's sometimes why I see very few people there, but I see a large assortment of them wandering around in our parks and everything like that. So I guess it's kind of a stopgap measure. You guys are doing the best you can with the funding you've got. But those are the questions that I had. The one thing I'm kind of concerned about is somebody having a cot and some bedding to sleep on at night, as well as the meals too. So thank you very much for your help.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's go to board member Carol England.
Hi, this question might be for Rory. On your, one of your slides, you had permanent housing. Now, how do you get someone so fast into permanent housing? Because it normally takes over a year. And you're saying you're only about 5 to 7 months. So do you have a different, because we're talking Section 8 vouchers here, right, for the permanent housing?
It could be, or
Right.
there's other various permanent programs.
But there's a wait list. So
What?
how do you bypass that to get these individuals into permanent housing?
So we don't bypass it, but a lot of the people are actively working with another caseworker. And so they may be in HONU and we're just helping to facilitate that transition. And so, we are connecting people with their caseworkers. The caseworkers come out to HONU to work with them. It's just a place for them to stay, while they're working on those types of things. So they're not just out there on the street.
My second question is, are you ever full? Like, have you ever turned anybody away? Whether it's an outreach workers trying to get this person off the street and what are your percentages of that happening?
So, unfortunately, we do at times have to turn people away. However, in the last, it was about 9 months ago, we actually doubled our capacity at HONU. So since then, we haven't had to turn people away. The only times we did was during the Kona loads when we actually had to evacuate HONU. And so we ourselves were in shelter at places. So we weren't able to do intakes at that time. But since then, we typically don't have to turn people away. But we do, in those cases, we do keep a wait list. And so when we do call, as soon as we're back on site, we start making the calls to bring people back in. Currently, as of Monday, we had 22 people. So it depends on the type of person. So we have space for 16 single males, 16 single females, and then we have space for 8 couples, and then space for about 8 families, depending on the family size.
Next, let's go to board member Hale.
Thank you for your information and all your efforts. Everything you guys do is awesome. Out of the 606 intakes, how many were local? And no, it's part of my question. And the ones that wasn't local, say if they came from another state, do you reach out to that state and get funding for them from that state that where they, after the screening and after you find out where they're from, do you call their state and say, we need help? Or you guys just taking the whole thing and cashing it up by yourself? That's all.
So I can't tell you the exact number offhand. We do get recent transitions to Hawaii sometimes. So what we typically do for those people is because they're in HONU, we talk to them about going back. And so that's what we saw in some of our statistics about the relocations, is we work with some of the other programs that we have here on transitioning them back to wherever they came from, usually where they have, additional support like family or something like that. Yeah, but yeah, we don't. Oh, you have it? Great.
Member Hale, the number right now from 2025, folks who returned to the continental US from being in Hawaii as a homeless person, with 181 from the Institute of Human Services, that organization. The Waikiki bid has also added 12 people, basically from the Waikiki area, back to a receiver. Now, the receiver has to be a vetted person, has to receive that person, versus just shipping somebody off, which may have happened in the past in the continental US. Of course, are separated by a lot of water, so it's hard to do that. Most recently, we're at 81 people from IHS have moved. Well, we have asked to move, no, they have asked, they have agreed to move to the mainland. Now, we pay for half of that aircraft, the IHS side that's funded by the state. The Waikiki bid funds 100% of the fare. So we're identifying people who feel that Hawaii is unaffordable to them and that they have another spot to reunite with folks with, and then we offer that to them. And we've offered that to many people that we come in contact with, not just people from IHS or the Waikiki bid, but many outreach workers use that tool to help you reunite.
Mahalo. Now going to Dr. Amy Bosler.
Thank you. Just one more follow-up. I was looking back through my notes. I have, well, I guess I'm old school, but I keep all my notes in a journal for the board. And I was trying to find the exact cost, but it doesn't really matter. But I know the HONU is a very expensive program, very expensive. It hurts my heart to hear that our houseless community members are coming to a place where there's no beds for them. So I'm thinking of how can we as a community, as a neighborhood board, how can we help our houseless neighbors? Because they are our neighbors, right? They're our people. And I don't see the dignity in sleeping on the floor. You're going for help. That's appalling to me that our community members who are in need are sleeping on the floor. So I'm wondering, how can we help? Can we do a bed drive? Can we be bringing mattresses to these tents outside our Hale? Because it's right there. This is our neighborhood. Like, can we bring beds? What can we do to help so that our community members who are ready for help and looking for help aren't laying on the red dirt in the grass? And if we do bring these beds, what will happen to them? Do they go with them? Do they have to provide? Because I'm guessing a lot of these people aren't able to bring trucks with beds or cots or things that they aren't going to be on the grass. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, they're not in the grass. They're in the tents, which are, they do have a ground layer on them. But I mean, in the past, we have tried various different things. Typically, so far, they haven't really worked very well. We did have cots, but those broke really easily. They were fairly expensive. And then they weren't easy to transport either, right? Because we are a mobile unit, and so they're not easy to transport or store. This is unfortunate. And so other things we have tried or suggested is like air mattresses. Those are okay, but they don't stay pumped up a lot of the time. Unfortunately, they sink and then cause some people back problems. They're also a little harder to get off of. We're always open to ideas. We have done sleeping bags and things like that, but those we typically will then give to the person. We're not going to have them reuse and give a used sleeping bag to someone else. And then that unfortunately gets far too expensive, right? With the number of people that we serve. It's a challenge. And we try to provide as much as we can. We do take donations of like mattresses and things like that for people.
So this is something that we'll make sure to put on our social media page tonight, that if people in the community have beds or air mattresses that we can donate. So we just go right to the tents, or do we contact somehow?
Best bet would probably be to contact probably me. My email is in the agenda, so you can contact me there, and then I can help facilitate that. Yeah, yes.
I'll just say it out loud so people, if you want to write it down, or if anybody online listening, hopefully you're inspired. It's Edward, EDWARD HAYDEN @honolulu.gov. Thank you.
Yes.
You'll be receiving a bed from me tomorrow and at least one air mattress.
I would say, when you say bed, not like a full-on normal bed mattress, those we probably wouldn't be able to do much with. But like an air mattress or like a cot or like a sleeping bag, those we can work with.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Any questions, comments, or concerns from the community at large? Okay, come on down.
My name is Leslie Keating, I'm a resident. I'm generally in favor of these programs, but as I'm sitting here and listening to the reduction in Waikiki's homeless population and the increase here, also talking about people being moved from the mainland to Hawaii, I feel like, and I was trying to look up all the places where these spots are, but are we moving our homeless from Waikiki and from Honolulu to outlying areas? I was just looking at the thing. I don't know if they're being put in Hawaii Kai too and the other, Kailua, or if they're really coming out towards the west side. And I did see a couple places, of course, by Kalihi and the industrial area down there. But I sort of feel like we're moving them out of the place that they came and then to us. And it's not that I don't want to take care of the people that are here. I do, I really do. And I'm really happy to see Hanu here. But I'm also, those numbers, and I didn't get a chance to look up any part. I was just curious what percentage of people are we getting from the areas that they're trying to get rid of them and bringing them to outside areas, and what percentage are coming. I did see 200 and something, and that's great from Kapolei, but I don't know. I think
I have an answer for you. There is a lot of truth to folks moving around. People are experiencing homelessness on nomadic types. We're looking for a safe place to lay down, or a place where they feel like there's some type of community there. As far as neighborhoods trying to rid themselves of the homeless, I think is a myth.
You can just lift it up.
Oh, got it. I think it's a myth. I think in our town, we're very compassionate about anyone who's in that situation, if things so dire. And then we know that if we do try to move people to a different location, we end up having to address them again. And HPD would speak to that almost all the time. Emergency services talk about that all the time. The goal for a place like Kapolei, seeing that there's 2,000 calls for police to try to reduce the amount of calls, especially when it comes down to homelessness. We see these statistics every Tuesday in our mayor's meeting as to how many people are cited, how many people are arrested, and where they move and how they migrate. There's no intention for us to move people around without offering them services where they can go to. The second piece behind this is, where would a Honu be? I've received some pushback from maybe the west side saying that we don't want people from other locations. And that's very fair to say, because once they're released from Honu, they end up in our community, and perhaps they just can't find their way and be productive citizens in our zip code. Our goal at Honu is to navigate people, as it says, to a good place in their life. And normally that's at home, and not normally where they're at that point. So if they are in KL for that time, they're probably from Kapolei, they could be from Hawaii Kai or from Kahala. Our goal is to move them there to be productive citizens, because that's where they feel probably the most comfortable, where they have the best memories. And that's what we try to talk to them about when we're at Honu. It's a lot of relationship building, help find out as to what's driving them to be homeless and to exit out of homelessness. As far as the Kapolei, the Waikiki piece, it's important to know, yes, there was a 91% reduction from 2026 from 2022. It's not from the year before. It's mostly in that Kalakaua and Kuhio Beach area, more the primary section, not the broader part of Waikiki. The broader part of Waikiki is about 20% less. And yes, they probably did move to Bakali, Papahulu, Alamoana Park. We're very aware of that. and try to anticipate that and offer them services because they're close by in the EV area. So we have a strategic plan. Once we understand where people are, where we put HONU, where we do enforcements, as we call them, to move them away from the park. There's a big strategy behind it, and it's proven at this point to be successful after our recent point in time count, if you haven't seen the news. I know that news came on the day of the HPD chief being named, but on the far right-hand corner, they talked about how we reduced 20% of the people who are unsheltered, people off the street. There's 20% reduction, which is a huge number compared to the years before. This actually is reflected from back in 2018 where we were for unsheltered people, that number. As far as people being sheltered, because the programs, different types of beds that we have, there's a 35% increase in people now being sheltered. Now that tells me, just being here a short time, that your strategies for the city are working. Not just providing beds, but providing different types of beds that meet specific needs, whether it's someone who has a drug addiction, a mental illness, just a financial instability type of issue, might have been evicted yesterday. We're addressing all the situations and it's panning out right now. So the goal is to sustain that, try to build on that type of success.
Okay, other community members, come on down.
Hi, Leticia Hernandez again. Just a couple questions. I saw on your slide that you had set up HONU at different locations several times. And based on your guys' database that you guys collected, did you guys see in the years that you guys did return to those sites, people that came through your guys' services again for a second time? And are we trying to make sure that we're either bridging the gap because they are a repeat, person that came through that? And how do we try to ensure that they, for the second time, get services again? I know this is barely the second time here. But I travel that street right here, probably on average 25 times a week. So I noticed that when you guys first came, obviously there was a homeless encampment in there of its own. Those people tend to migrate across Kapolei Parkway, set up shop there, at least in those two sections that you can't cross. And there's still people still living there. And then when you guys left, the people returned. So it's like, just going off of what the co-chair said, the longevity of staying in one place. And then I noticed on your guys' map as well, you guys only, I believe, went to the west side, the KL once. And is that because they already have homeless encampments set up there and that you guys felt that there wasn't a need to return? Because clearly that is one of the largest homeless areas in the island of Oahu. Those are just my questions. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, to answer some of your questions, we do see people come back to HONU multiple times. One of the kind of the positives or the benefits of the program is we are accepting of anyone as many times as they need to come, right? Homelessness is a significant challenge that often takes multiple attempts, multiple years to get out of. So we do always want to be available to anyone should they want to give it another shot. And so that, there are many challenges that people encounter. And so every time that someone does come into the HONU, we try to work with them on what are their current issues, right? What are the barriers that they're encountering right now? And so we try to work with them on those things to help get them into, a more permanent living solution. Yeah. So in terms of looking at where people go, so unfortunately, we can't force people to come into HONU. We think everybody should come into HONU and use our services, but we can't force them to. So when we do go into an area, we do try to encourage people to come in and avail themselves of our services and work with us to get into other placements, but, we can't make them. So that is unfortunate, but we do try to encourage them. We also work with all of the other service providers, the outreach workers, and a lot of them do make referrals to Honu. So when they're out doing their outreach services, they will make referrals to us. So we get a lot of referrals from the various nonprofit organizations. Also, we have a strong partnership with CORE, who goes out to do some of the medical treatment stuff and check on people, and they refer to us quite often, as well as HPD does. So when they encounter people out there, they're just tired of being out there on the street, and they'll make the referrals to us as well. Yeah.
Come on down, Nancy, for your question. No problem. And while she's coming up, I would like to remind everyone that we still have 2 other presentations this evening and about an hour left. So just keep that in mind as we continue to Holomwa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Board. I just want to clarify some things. You have some good points, but I want to bring up some things, what I've seen with the homeless. What's sad is when they had a back with the police and when they didn't run, were redoing things and making it better, they did shift everybody from all the areas, Honolulu, Mililani, and all of them. And they had a lady, I recall it because I happened to go to Zippy's that day, and luckily I changed my mind, but that was the tragedy when the lady was, was from Mililani. She didn't know where they just dumped her down here with the police. She didn't know where she was. She was disoriented. And this other guy was mentally ill. They put her with the police station, let him out, the lady first. The man came out that was mentally ill and started beating her to death with the tree, limbs. And this is during the time that there's children and families in Zippy's and the police is there. No one was there to stop it. That's what's happening. I'm not saying dump them all here, but you can't bring somebody that's used to another area and you bring them down here and they don't know where they are. She was lost. She was an innocent victim. She shouldn't have had it happen, but that's what's happening. But also people should not be allowed to be in the park doing their business in front of people, just not caring. It's not healthy. And you can't control them. I dealt with this in my career when I've been down there with the homeless and whatever. And people that are military retired are actually just making money. And I see them, I told them, why don't you go get help? You have money. They have all these facilities for you. They don't want it. But what I'm saying is you need to stop taking them out of their areas. If they go back, you need to get them familiar with Mililani or wherever you take them from Honolulu, and just don't dump them down here, because it's like anybody, when they don't have the mental, understand where they're at, that's very disturbing to them and they need help. And that's what has it. But my main complaint is I don't like coming down here at night when I have to get something. It's not safe anymore. But you can't blame it. Everybody is dumping, but they've been doing this for years to us, and no one has took the stand to say no more from Texas, no more from Florida, no more from California. I know all the places because I work down there. I dealt with all that stuff. But the problem is the people need help, but Hawaii needs support from the states that are going to send it to us so we can get the proper facilities. Military shut down a lot of places here when I was working. A lot of places could be maybe fixed up. But we need help. We don't have all that money. And that's what I'm saying. Just please bring them back where they're familiar or get them the help they need.
All over sharing your mana'o. Any other community member have questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, come on down.
Hi, Karen Polk, Kapolei Chamber of Commerce, and I just want to very quickly say thank you for bringing the Hano back. Back before 2024, we had many of our businesses impacted around Kapolei Regional Park. And so we're very grateful. I think we've seen the success, but I want to point out Co-Chair Lidstone talking about the permanency. I think the bigger picture is looking at having a respite option in the Kapolei region for our homeless in the bigger picture. But in the meantime, thank you for bringing the home back. Mahalo.
Okay, so I have a question. I had a list, but then we are running behind. So the last question I have for the evening is, what's your time horizon that you're planning on being here?
So we are looking to be here for probably about 6 months or so. And at that point, we'll start looking at where we might be needed next.
Awesome. Now, I have some suggestions that you might want to take into account as you move to your next location or come back here. One is letting us know before you show up. Because the community forum is a great place to mobilize resources and basically activate community to know that there's a place for them to go. Second is give us a list of your current partners that you're working with, so that now we know that you're working with them so that we can better inform ourselves and help. And third is related to the second is like show us the ecosystem part that you play. What is Hono doing that everybody else isn't, and that what's your specific place, so that we can have a better targeted conversation and community about Hono as opposed to homelessness, right? Because those are very different things, and we want to make this space as productive as possible moving forward for myself and for future neighborhood boards that you guys go and approach. Okay, and with that, seriously, thank you guys for the work that you do. Really appreciate it. And let's transition to the next presentation, welcoming up the USTA Hawaii Pacific Campus, Ron Romero, Executive Director, and the presentation on new facilities for tennis.
Thank you, Chair and board members. I have a few slides, but I'm going to streamline it. I know it's running late. I want to give you some time back. Curtis, thank you. So we acquired 7 acres of land in partnership with Gentry Homes right next to Holomua School and Eva Beach. And the purpose of this is to be a tennis and education center, a community after-school gathering place for youth. Okay, you can go to the next slide. At this point, we received a conditional use permit from the city. We have provided all the detailed construction plans in November, and we're waiting for final approval to start building the facility. Okay, next slide. That's what it looks like. There's 8 tennis courts. There's a large parking lot. You see some green space that'll be used for multi-functional type of activities. Could be used for May Day, for Holomua School, whatever. I understand that Gentry Homes is almost finalized, giving the other 5 acres next to us to the Department of Education. And so I don't know how long that's going to take for them to get permits and build, but that's the plan. If you ask me about pickleball, I'm going to address that. Plus, I'm going to give you some information that you asked about before. And I'm going to give you some factual information about City and County of Honolulu Parks and Rec pickleball. And then I'm going to answer your questions about this and about pickleball. Okay? Just a couple things about this. The entire complex will have a fence around it. Okay, so it'll be secured. We'll have normal hours. We have no lights, so there'll be no activity. Sun goes down, we're done. We've got about 55 parking spaces. And originally we talked with Gentry and DOE about creating some connecting spaces between the school and our campus so we can help with the parking situation out there. We just had a traffic study and a crosswalk study done, and it seems like we're okay. We don't need to do anything additional. The crosswalk is going to be fine. I do know the traffic congestion in the morning and the afternoon at school is heavy, but we're not going to add to that. I hope we're going to be part of the solution. Curtis, you can go to the next one. So just something about us, USTA, United States Tennis Association. We're not just tennis. We do a lot of community activities. We've done after-school programs in Waianae, in Waimanalo, in Palolo. We reach out to underserved communities, and it's not just tennis. We do a lot of educational programs. We just hired a schools director, and her job is she's going to go into all the schools and starting in the Eva Beach area and introduce tennis, give the schools a curriculum, go through several classes with the kids, train the teachers, give them equipment packages so they can offer tennis as one of the activities in the school. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. Our mission is growing tennis to inspire healthier people and healthier communities everywhere. And so we're a branch of the USTA, US Open, Flushing Meadows. We get a great deal of funding from that source, and that's why we can operate and do a lot of these things. And I think, Curtis, that might be the last slide. Okay. I do want to give you just one stat, okay, on tennis and pickleball. So tennis has 27 million players in the United States, up from 24 million players last year. So we're seeing a 6% growth in tennis nationally. Okay, Curtis, next slide, please. Here in Hawaii, in the last 3 years, we saw a 24% growth in tennis. So yes, pickleball, everybody say is the fastest growing sport, and it is, but tennis is still growing and booming, and pickleball has about 23 million players nationwide. Tennis is 27 million, and it's still growing. Okay, and let's see. Tennis is some medical reports that came out last year, the world's healthiest sport, the sport of a lifetime. And I mentioned 24% growth in the last 3 years here in Hawaii. People have said, well, I dispute that. I drive by the courts and I don't see anybody there. Well, you drive by at 12 noon and 1 o'clock, nobody's playing anything at that time. So, okay, so I think that might be it. I did want to save some time for some questions. And I do have some pickleball stats after you ask some questions.
Mahalo for your presentation. Any questions, comments, or concerns from the board? Any questions, comments, concerns from the community at large? Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. I think we are good with this. Is anyone wishing to make a motion to support the project? It's been moved by Kara England to support the project. It's been seconded by Dr. Amy Bosler. At this time, anyone wishing to testify whether or not you like tennis or pickleball, please come to the mic. Okay, seeing no one coming to the mic, any discussion, board members? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any opposition? I'm not hearing any opposition. Any abstentions? Chair calls it unanimous. Okay, so you got our support.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Yeah, feel free to give us the pickleball stats.
Okay, so let me just say this. Okay, we support pickleball. It has the same benefits as tennis. It's healthy, exercise, fun, and very social. Probably more social than tennis in some respects. Okay, here in the west side, Eva Mexico Public Park has 8 permanent pickleball courts. Okay, 8 permanent pickleball courts. City and County of Honolulu, and I think the mayor's representative is still here. We collaborate very closely with the Public Park Department. There are about 222 courts, tennis courts in Honolulu. Out of that, 197 have blended lines to play pickleball. The 197 pickleball courts, okay? There are 36 dedicated pickleball courts, permanent nets, lines, whatever. So we coexist, we have similar benefits. We have tried our best to work in collaboration with the city. And one of the recommendations we made to the Parks Department, we said, build pickleball courts. Well, do we have the money? Do we have the land? Maybe not. Utilize underutilized courts, volleyball, tennis, basketball, parks that have virtually no activity convert those into pickleball courts. So that we work very closely, we're collaborating, we're supportive. We are in no way at odds, although you will see the police called sometimes for people arguing whose court it is. But we ask our members and players, if you get into that situation, just move to another court and let those people have the court and let's be respectful about it. So anyways, that's the pickleball stats. Okay.
Thank you so much for providing the pickleball stats and information that seems running contrary to what the Department of Parks and Recreation told us earlier about not being able to double stripe. Oh, wow. So that's why we have a community forum. Okay, mahalo nui loa to that. And now let's welcome up the main attraction and the main event for the evening, our potential new neighbors from Amazon.
Thank you, Chair. I think we have the presentation that's going to be popping up, but Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity to once again come before you to share some updates. My name is Jacob Aki. I am with DTL, and we are part of the Amazon project team. I have sent you folks this previously, and then I think you should have a hard copy. And we had previously sent over additional information a few weeks ago in the form of a memo. So some of this use are things that you might have read there, but we also wanted to use this as an opportunity to present before the broader community. And I know there was a news article on the front page of the Star Advertiser this morning. So I think I might have also sent a copy of that to you folks, just in case you folks are not behind the Star Advertiser's paywall. So I wanted to make sure you folks had the opportunity. But you know, we are just super happy to have the opportunity again to present to you folks part of what we committed to previously back when we were here in December, was that as the project came along, that wouldn't be the last time that you folks heard or saw from us. And we've been engaging with you folks, engaging with some of our community members as well since then. But today is really to provide a overall feedback. So I'll hand it off to some of my other colleagues who will walk us through this presentation. And then obviously at the end, open to any questions and conversations that we folks might have too. So next slide, then I will hand it over now.
You can go on to the next slide. Aloha, my name is Leela Yoon Chang with G70. Thank you again, Chair Paris, Legal Council members, and community members for allowing us to be here again to further this discussion with you. Since it has been a while, I just wanted to provide a recap of the project location and some information on the DPP zone change application that we're pursuing. So here you can see the project location. We are within Kapolei Harborside Industrial Park, which is shown in the yellow highlight boundary. We are on the west side, and the areas surrounding us, you can see to the east is Kapolei Business Park. To the west is Barbers Point Harbor. To the south is Campbell Industrial Park, and up north is Kapolei West. Next slide. Here's a zoomed in view of the project parcels. Since we last spoke with you, the smaller lots on the southern portion of the project parcels have been consolidated. So you see lot 101 and lot 102, they're at the bottom. And then within parcel 63 in the middle there, you see the red boundary. That is the portion of the project that would be set aside for the warehouse. So as I previously mentioned, this is an industrial area. So the proposed use is already allowed. The red portion there in red is showing the 16.5 acres where the warehouse will be that requires a height district rezoning. So again, it's only for the height. It's currently allowed for 60 feet, and we are increasing it. We're requesting to increase it to 100 feet. Next slide. If you look to the table on the right there, I just want to recap again the status of this project. So last December is when we came before you guys for the first time for our presentation, and that was really with the project concept. Since then, at the end of April, we submitted our zone change application to DPP, and it was accepted on May 4th, which was earlier this month. You can see the full application online. The website is honolulu.dpp.gov. www.gov/DPP. If you go to the public input tab, then you can go ahead and find the location of the project on the map. Again, just east of the Harbor's Point Harbor, and click on the little place marker to be able to find our zone change application. We've notified the properties within 300-foot radius of the project, and here we are before you for our second presentation and opportunity to further discuss this project. In the next couple of quarters, the team is also anticipating to meet with the other West Side neighborhood boards, and the latter part of this year, we're expecting that we'll have our planning commission hearing and city council review. So again, this is for the zone change application to DPP from a 60-foot district to 100 feet. And again, it will be limited to just the 16.5 acres within the center parcel shown here. With that, I will pass the baton back to Jacob to discuss the project design concept.
And we'll also make sure that we can send you folks a link to the overall application as well. So you can, next slide, please. So we, part of the design process was, making sure that we're not just building a building that looks and feels like some of the other project sites that we have on the continent. And really that part of being a good partner is also making sure that the design of the building is something that fits and actually honors the history. So we partner with WCIT, which is a local architecture firm. They've done a lot of major projects here in the islands. And their specialty is really making sure that culture is incorporated into the project design. This is just one slide from a broader slide deck. We know we only have 20 minutes, so if you folks are interested in learning more, we can definitely share. But really what they've taken into consideration as they looked at what the building design could be is how do we honor the past, present, and future of this place? Looking at the ahupua'a of Honouliuli from traditional times of being a traditional pathway during the plantation era, connecting with the railroads, and taking all of that into consideration in how the project is or how the site is going to look. Part of what is also being taken into consideration, which was a direct recommendation from this board, was what are some of the flora and fauna that can be used throughout the site, right? Is recognizing that our local people are going to be working there, and how can we, yes, they'll be working in this center, but how can they also feel like they are at home? So we are looking at using different flora and fauna that may have been found in in the area, or others that came from the list too. So we'll send out a little bit more of what the traditional mo'olelo. It really was a 40-page slide deck, but we wanted you folks to know that we really looked into the history and how we could honor place. Another thing that is also being looked at is how can this also be incorporated not just on the outside, but in employee spaces as well. If you folks have been to the Amazon Center in San Island, it's not just the outside, but the inside also incorporates art, culture, and that sort of thing too. So as we continue to finalize the design concept, these are things that we want you folks to know that we are taking into heart. And recognizing that you folks have done a great job and have been a great resource in providing some of that. Like I said, the flora and fauna was something that we used and are continuing to use as well too. So more to come on and more to share, and I can send that to you folks directly, but didn't have time to put in the slide deck. But now I'll hand it over to our friends from Seafried, who can really talk about the site plans and all of those stuff too. So Jason.
Good evening, Chair Paris and board members. My name is Jason Quintel with Seafried Properties. Good to see you all again. The site plan you see before you really hasn't changed from the last time that we spoke. The design is very, very similar. I think the only exterior comments I would make is that some of the parking lot got redesigned, not to add spaces, but just to reconfigure. So that site plan you see there is what you previously, and we're still in the same size range of roughly 598,000 square feet on the ground floor. 2.8 million square feet as you count all the elevated levels above it. So again, same figures that we spoke about in December. Next slide. These are just concepts from different viewpoints to give you an idea. We do have some renderings here in a second. I just wanted to give you an idea of some of the concepts that WISC gave us that we've incorporated not only in the corner treatments, but in the middle of the building, as well as the entry point, which we know is the focus of where all the employees enter and the visitors. So we've really done a lot to take what I would say is a prototypical design for Amazon and really incorporated the more cultural elements that WISIT had given us to consider. And I think we've really taken that to heart and done the best we can to still keep the function of the building, but also bring the community aspect we talked about. Next slide. So with the parking structure as well, we really wanted to focus different elements throughout the site. I think, this is focusing more on the ocean side, Makai side. So we're really focusing on trying to bring elements not only that are visual, but there are a lot of offsets to this structure as well that we'll get into the renderings to show you. So next slide. We have flown this site numerous different times, and you'll get, we have more slides that we can share to give you views and view sheds from different places throughout the neighborhood and the community. This is at the corner of the Willy Willy and the Harbor Access Road, just as an idea of what that structure would look like. Next slide. And up in the left-hand corner, you can see I've highlighted in yellow where you're looking from. So this is an elevated view. I would say this is kind of up the mountain a bit, but kind of just below the rail. So you're kind of taking this view, looking back out into the ocean. Again, we know you guys did comment about what are people going to see when they're riding the train. I think we've spent a lot of time in, with our landscaping. And again, there's only so much we can do with renderings to give you a real feel for it. But I think the building definitely gives you the view and the landscaping that will surround that with will definitely be an upgrade from what you're currently seeing out there with the with the raw landscape. Next slide. This is a view looking back out from the corner of, I would say, Kapolei and Kalaeloa. So you're looking back into the park itself. So as you've driven Kalaeloa, you recognize that it's very difficult to see back in there with the buildings on the road. They're going to screen the facility. It will be further back into the park. But wanted to give you another sense of, again, as you're going further up or even out from the community, this would be a view shed. Next slide. And one last one, this is coming back from the Campbell Industrial Park, looking back up into the mountains. So again, the landscaping plan, as Jacob had mentioned before, we took that to heart. We did review your board resolution on sustainable Hawaiian plant landscapes. We did work with our local PBR as our local architect for the landscaping. They built this landscape plan around that to ensure that we're utilizing those planting materials. And to Jacob's point, that has historically grown in the area as well. Next slide. Part of what Amazon wants to make sure occurs when they have employees, in numbering in 1,000 here, is that they have places to, break and relax and get away from work. So this is right outside of the entry area. We've got different plazas, seating areas and dining areas and things. We're still defining. I don't know that we're going to have a putt-putt course over there on number 4, but we are working on the amenities at this point. But that will be a very big focal point for the employees. Next slide. So we heard you in our last meeting about the many topics that you were concerned about. And traffic certainly is a concern for everyone here in Kapolei. I am not a traffic engineer, but we have done an extensive traffic analysis that is part of our application and being reviewed by the city as part of that. One of the big components is we did do a scoping analysis with them prior to preparing the study. We asked them what intersections to look at, what to study for, and thoughts on traffic both for autos and trucks. So we did 10 intersection studies, identified the impacts for timing of the intersections, and then ultimately found one existing intersection that was not, at their current standard. So we'll continue to work with the city in reviewing that traffic study and any improvements that would be necessary. But you can get into more of the details in our study online. Next slide. Transportation demand, how do we try to reduce the amount of traffic? I think one of the things that Amazon does very, very well, having worked for them for 20 plus years, transportation coordinator. They have an on-site individual that works with the employees to try to pair folks up that live nearby to do ride share coordination. They have bicycle facilities here that really do promote folks coming in and riding to work if they are nearby. The retail support facilities, so I've thrown a few pictures in there to give you an idea. But they really do their best to support the employees and being able to stay on site, prepare their meals, and have those services available so that it lessens the traffic during the break hours. And then obviously, we're going to be working with the local bus service. There's not a bus line coming into the park yet, but I'm sure with the amount of employees that we're bringing, we will be working with them to find a way. Next slide. Workforce and public safety. I know this was a big one as well. Amazon is very much committed to not only their employees and the emergency response, but also the community. We did take Chair Paris after our last meeting. We did take the Kapolei Local Agency Action Network, got it to the folks within Amazon that work through their emergency programs, and we're working on plans to work with the local agencies. But we do, excuse me, I should say, Amazon does have a very robust program for each of those individual items that were outlined there. And those will be put in place prior to occupancy. Next slide. Sustainability. One of the things that's not on here, I just want to make sure that we're clear on. I know that water and sewer were a big concern for everyone. As you know, this is a master plan community, and the James Campbell Company has put extensive amounts of infrastructure in, which includes allocations of water and sewer for every lot in the project. We're being allocated what was allocated to them as part of their original approvals. We're not extending beyond that. We're actually a little less than what was allocated for these properties. So the low flow toilets, the way that Amazon works on their sustainability side of things with their design does allow us to keep it very, very efficient. On the rooftop solar, I know power is a concern. We have asked for 9.5 megawatts from HECO. With that, Amazon has also committed a 5 to 7 megawatt solar system on their rooftop. So we're going to be able to offset a lot of the power draw from the grid. Obviously, we can't rely on it specifically, just not sized and or consistent enough, but it does show the need for their sustainability requirements for their company to continue to do that. Again, these are just some ideas of different things that we're working on. We did put on one Sand Island comment there, the last one, that Amazon is continually working to electrify their van delivery services at Sand Island. So again, a sustainability aspect, maybe not related to this project, but here on the island. Next slide. I'm now going to turn it over to Stephen Meduli-Williams with Amazon.
Thanks, Jason. Aloha, peer chairs, former board members as well. Again, I'm Stephen Meduli-Williams with Amazon. Real pleasure, excited to be here in front of you again to talk to you about a project. What I'm going to do is spend some time talking to you a little bit about some of the potential economic and community benefits associated with the project. And I do want to stress that this is kind of an early framework, start of the discussion, happy to continue to talk about it. So really, for Amazon, as we look at this particular project, there are really kind of four pillars of kind of what we're thinking from a focus standpoint. One being overall employment, and that's both, full-time employees working at the site as well as construction jobs. Education, and that means education for employees, but also education for how we support some of the surrounding schools, particularly K-8 schools. Overall kind of economic impact, and then lastly, community investment. So I think in terms of a framework, we really are focusing on educational opportunities, education programs, supporting youth, address food insecurity issues. That's currently what we're doing now, particularly with our new site in Sand Island. So that's something we're currently pretty active in. And then the last area, which we want to talk a little bit more about, is supporting community infrastructure. I think our overall ultimate goal is to be a good neighbor and a good partner and really invest in West Oahu in a way that it deserves to be invested in. Next slide. So from an employment and compensation standpoint, I think we've always said that there will be 1,000+ jobs, and I do want to say 1,000+ because there will be probably more than 1,000 jobs, and that's full-time jobs that will receive benefits from day one. I think we've already kind of talked about how you're talking about medical, dental, vision upon hire. Very competitive pay, medical insurance, pretty comprehensive also from day one, and then dental and vision as well. The thing I want to add that in terms of construction jobs, right now, we're estimating that there are going to be several hundred construction jobs. We'll have a firmer figure in terms of what we think that is once the project gets to start, once the project is bid out by trade and things like that. We can have a more detailed analysis of how many construction jobs. But I do want to add that when you look at the combination of full-time jobs that are going to be working every day at the site and construction jobs, you're really talking about almost 2,000 jobs. So we're really excited about that. Next slide. The other thing about hiring is that, and this is something that's part of our DNA at Amazon, is that we're very intentional about hiring, particularly local hire, because we really want to hire in the communities that we operate in. And so in this case, we have a strategy. It's pretty much the same strategy we use for a Staten Island facility, where basically several months before the facility opened, we went out and we identified local workforce development partners, and we really kind of talked with them well before, maybe many months, almost a year before, just to get them ready to learn how to reach out to their clients and to get them hiring, applying and hiring through the Amazon interview process. And that worked out really well. As some of you know, our Staten Island facility has close to 600 employees, just about 550 employees right now. The vast majority of those are full-time jobs. And without the partnerships that we develop with many local workforce development partners, that would not have happened. The other exciting thing that I want to share about our Staten Island facility is that it has one of the highest employee retention rates of anywhere in the network throughout the mainland, throughout North America. So a lot of it is really based on our leadership there. Our site lead, Stephanie Kalihi, who's from Makakilo, really is a fantastic site leader, and she's created an environment of culture and support and healing at that facility that's really pretty phenomenal. So our goal is to replicate that here at this facility in Kapolei. So in terms of local hiring, the goal is really to focus in on West Oahu communities, identify the partners, and really, focus by zip code. So we want to identify as many local hires as possible. We're open and excited to develop partnerships with local high schools. As you may know, you can work for Amazon at 18. And we've done that, for instance, with LA Unified, where we develop a partnership with the school district for kids who want to, maybe they wanted to take work for a year or two before going to college. They were able to come work for Amazon. And so that's something that we'll look to do here as well. One of the things that we're really excited about, and this is really as part of the overall Amazon upskilling strategy, is that we do invest directly in our employees and their well-being, but also in their ability to attain education. And so we have a program called Career Choice, which is a prepaid tuition program where we actually pay for our associates to go out and get either an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree in any field of their choosing. And so, for instance, if I wanted to go out and maybe I start working at Amazon and I want to become a nurse, I can go to school part-time. It may take me 5-6 years, but I can get a nursing degree paid for by Amazon. I think the cap per year is $5,250. That's paid for by Amazon upfront. Again, some of the other industries are logistics, healthcare, skilled trades, technology. So that's one upskilling program through a partnership we already have in place here in Honolulu and Oahu for that career choice program. Next slide, please. So in terms of educational partnerships, one of the first things we worked on even before we had the first facility built is that we reached out to the University of Hawaii as well as Honolulu Community College to enroll them in this career choice program. Right now, we have about maybe 260 universities nationwide that are part of the program. So even if someone did want to go to UH or Honolulu Community College, they can go online and sign up for a distance learning program, online program, and get a degree that way as well. But we're really excited about this program, and this is something that associates already are taking advantage of, and certainly something that they'll be able to take advantage of once they start working for Amazon. And the other nice thing is that it allows students to go to school without accruing any student loan debt. And again, this is cost paid upfront. As you sign up, you pick your courses, Amazon pays for it. So no money out of your own pocket. Next slide, please. So in terms of overall economic impact, we really believe this is a $600 million plus investment directly into West Oahu. So really excited about that. We think this will be the largest private sector investment in West Oahu history once everything is said and done. Also proud to say that there's no tax incentives received. There's none that we requested for this project. So we're, Amazon's paying the bill entirely themselves. Since we own the site, this particular project will generate property tax revenue for the city and county of Honolulu. Again, we talked about the 1,000+ jobs and benefits and compensation associated with that. And then ultimately, when you look at both the permanent jobs, the temporary jobs, and construction jobs, this project will have a multiplier effect in terms of economic vitality, primarily focused on West Oahu. Last slide, please. In terms of specific community investment, as I said before, there are kind of 4 areas where we kind of focused on. The first being food insecurity, which we've already kind of developed a partnership with the local food banks to provide food to impacted residents. And so we're going to continue that. Another area of focus that we want to consider is youth organizations. Obviously, again, particularly here in West Oahu. Again, I spoke to food insecurity. And then the last area really is to kind of really creatively think through how can we help invest in the infrastructure in West Oahu. And that's something that we'll look to take direction from this neighborhood board on. But it's certainly something that we want to continue to talk about is making strategic investments, particularly investments in community facilities that impact the daily quality of life of residents. Because one of the things that we've been hearing, recurring themes, is that West Oahu has been underinvested in, and we'd like to help alleviate that. So I think that's it for our presentation. Mahalo. And we're happy to take field any questions that you as board members and the community might have. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui loa for the presentation. We appreciate you coming back and appreciate you coming forward at the first meeting at the concept level. Okay, we will do questions. Recognizing on the order of business, we do have 2 items, one on a resolution for the Project Support Permitted Interaction Group and taking action on the upcoming DPP variance requests. So I want to make sure that we get to that this evening. It is now 9:34, so let's field high-level questions, recognizing that the neighborhood board would like to put in a process where community can engage, hopefully over the next 6 months, in a more relaxed environment. As much love and tension that we usually have, but not be able to try and solve all of the problems in a 3-hour meeting at 9:36 p.m.
Yeah, Chair, and I know there might be a lot of questions and a lot more specific questions. But if anybody wants to set up a separate meeting with me that we can kind of walk through and we can hear, I will stay after, and you can get my contact and we can set that up.
So the chair's plea is that burning questions, high-level issues that you want to get, knowing that we're trying to create a process for us to have an extended conversation over the next few months with a board action this evening. Okay, now with that, board questions going to Nick Ferrara.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I got a chance to take a look at it when it was emailed to me. You folks, I applaud you. You say you support community infrastructure. That's good. I'm the transportation chair and have worked in civil engineering for many years for the state. And so you're developing in an area that the city and county would rather you are located out here rather than nearest the airport. The sheer volume of cargo would dictate you locate closest to the airport. Of course, the city claims they are poor. Traffic will increase substantially. Workers may reverse commute to the location. A couple of things that we need here for infrastructure would be, like, for instance, people coming out from town to work out here. It's 1,000 jobs in a community of roughly 50,000 plus people going all the way west. Something like an extension of the skyline going out to Campbell would be something that I think would be preferable, being that it's probably going to get out that way eventually, and now would be a good opportunity for us to do that. We have over 5,000 housing units going in out here, and the Makakilo Drive has not been extended so that it could go out to the freeway. So people getting off at Kapolei-Makakilo exit, with all that, it's going to create a traffic jam. So there's two spots there that if we were to get Makakilo Drive completed, it got stopped in the middle of the project and left behind by the city. But Skyline is something that if you had people coming out from town to work out here, it would be something that I think could be feasible for a project as big as it is that you're proposing for us. Also, returns. I know there's a number of returns that come back. Would it be possible to help support community services with things like clothes and some of the returns that you get back being donated to community services? I think that's probably the only thing that I've got. And I could be contacted at Mick Ferreira is at gmail.com. Ferreira is Ferreira at gmail.com. Right. Thank you.
Mahalo. Any other questions or concerns from board members? Going to Dr. Amy Bosler, and then we're going to. Okay, so going to. Oh. Aloha, board member Tiare Ta'ala online. Going to question, comment, or concern. Go ahead.
Aloha, mahalo. Question, you said that Amazon's helping with food security in Hawaii. How so? Two, this is more for the local partners here. Do you actually believe the things that you're saying? In your brochure, you mentioned things like pilina and respect for place, but in nowhere in the Hawaiian mo'omeheu, and nowhere in our Hawaiian vernacular is corporate capitalism part of our place. So the things that you're proposing, inoa and kanu, these are crumbs, and I want you to state that, because then the question becomes, do you think that the rest of us are idiots here? You know, it's one thing for Amazon to bring their people from the mainland and speak to us like we don't know what's going on. Like, we need traffic experts to tell us that there's traffic. I don't need a traffic expert to tell me there's traffic over here, and that adding X amount of jobs or trucks or whatever you plan on bringing is going to make anything better, because it's not. So then the kuleana falls to you, local partners, to be more honest with the people. Don't talk to us about all the upsides, all these like pie in the sky type things. Tell us what it's going to take from us, because that's what we're focused on. Because every single corporation that comes in here, all the Walmarts, all the Costco's, all the hotels, they always take more than they give, every single time. So don't tell us how you're going to do these manini things, because we're not in the, my board member here, Mick, is very generous to ask if you can do things. We're not in an asking mood. We're in a demanding mood, because whatever you guys do here is going to require more from us than you're going to give to us. So perhaps in your future presentations, we can have more realistic conversation. None of this, marketing razzle dazzle kind things. Be real at the very least. If you're not going to be pono, at least be real. Mahalo.
Mahalo for your mana'o, for sharing your concerns. Next, let's go to any other board members here. Board member Sheila Medeiros, and then followed by Vice Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. So kind of piggybacking off Tiare, my concern is the jobs, right? It's with the advent of AI moving very quickly and robotics. And I know that you folks are exploring robotics and AI, and you are promoting 1,000+ jobs. What assurances do we have in the local, for us, that those jobs that we have now that you're promoting 1,000+ is going to maintain, is going to be human capital? Because we've seen the progression of AI and it's moving quick. And if you put AI into robotics, what happens to the human capital workforce? And what assurances do we have that you, Amazon, is not going to replace the 1,000+ people that you are saying that you're going to employ?
So, thank you, Council, thank you, Board Member, for your question. So, this facility is designed to be open in 2030. And so that incorporates, any use of AI, which is really specifically for the algorithms and the kind of planning of inventory and things like that. In terms of our workforce, we're building facilities, for the next 5-10 years. And we expect that workforce to be maintained where it is. Robotics are already integrated into that facility. And so we're not going to, we can't, can't have robots replace humans. The goal of having robotics at a facility is really, one, to do some of the more mundane and really tasks that are, not as safe for employees, and create a safe workplace for a safe space in the workplace for our employees to work alongside robotics. But yeah, I mean, we feel fairly confident that workforce is going to, maintain itself. And so historically, what we've done with facilities this size, we've had like robotics upgrades and other upgrades, but our workforce has not changed. So we feel pretty confident that our planning for this workforce is for the long haul, and that we're not going to be, we won't be replacing 1,000 employees with a facility full of robots. We just do not see that in the horizon.
Mahalo now to Vice Chair Michaela Lindstone.
Mahalo. I'm struggling to be comfortable with this project because Amazon is really mass consumerism, and consumption is, I feel, slowly eating away at the well-being of our beautiful island community. And, I really don't have a question because your presentation was so great. You've said everything we want to hear. But at the same time, we as a community have experienced quite a bit of trauma with projects that have promised so much and have broken those promises, or have said, we're going to do these great things, and those great things don't happen. And so it's a real struggle. I want to like this project, I really do, but it's really uncomfortable because so many of our hopes have not been fulfilled.
Now let's open it up to any questions from the community and the board members as well. Recognizing we only have 16 minutes left, and we have 2 actions that if we do not take tonight, then they will not be happening. And we will have to do this again when we have an open agenda or special meeting. So recognizing board member Amy, Dr.
Thank you. You had a
And
slide.
community members, if you can, if you have questions, come line up already so that we can expedite this as quickly as possible. Thank you.
You had the slide about workforce and public safety. And you're talking about designated interior shelters in place locations. We as a board have we've made it our mission to make sure that we have hurricane safe spaces for our community. And so wondering with this, if you could talk a little bit about what the capacity would be. Would that be for all of the employees, or be a community space that our people can come to as well? What does that look like? Or is it for a hurricane? What class categories? Is it Cat 1, Cat 3, Cat 5 that we're expecting?
I'm not going to be able to speak to the exact class, but it is for the employees. So whether it's 1,500 in the facility at the same time, it's to safely secure the employees. You have mentioned, how do we bring the community into there? I don't think you understand the complexity of the interior of that building and the space itself. I think it's going to be limited to just the employees. I'm not saying that we couldn't consider that or talk through it more in detail on how the community could utilize it. Stephen, you could comment. I don't think I've seen them been able to have ever done that before.
Just wanting to make sure at least the employees will be in a hurricane safe space. Thank you.
Just like any other building in any of these parks, right? Yep.
Let's go to community members in person and online afterwards, alternating. Go right ahead.
Hello, thanks for the opportunity to talk. My name's William Albritton, and I'm a Makakilo resident. and hey, Cynthia. And I work at Leeward Community College, so I was kind of surprised that y'all had Honolulu Community College on there, but not Leeward Community College, which is closer. And we also have a mechatronics program. So I think that would fit in with some of the things you're offering. So that's one point. There's two more. Your first Amazon warehouse that's on Sand Island, I found it a couple of years ago, is actually built on top of a fish pond. So the Honolulu Harbor area, Sand Island, used to be plenty of fish ponds way back in the day. And it's, fish ponds, example of how people, worked with nature and use the resources we have. And now, not just Shell's company, but now, y'all are pretty much a symbol of the opposite. Not working with nature, we can press a button on a cell phone and get anything we want anytime. So my ask is just, please, if you're concerned about our history, please put money into fish ponds and restoring fish ponds in the Hawaiian Islands. Finally, one more thing. It's no secret that y'all generate plenty of trash and the taxpayers pay for it. So it goes in our landfills, it goes, even the recycling programs, we're paying for that. So I would appreciate if y'all have some kind of program that helps with the trash that y'all generate. There is a company or organization called Aloha Sustainable Materials Recycling and Fertilizer Facility. I think the acronym is SMRF. But if y'all can maybe invest in that, get them, resources, money. I mean, all the resources of a medium-sized country. And finally, I'd just like to say, y'all heard all the concerns of the community just today. If y'all can help out this community, I think it would go a long way to improving just our community. And now y'all are going to be part of our community. And, okay. I think it's part of y'all's responsibility, but thank you.
We've also met with the Chancellor of UH West as well as LCC too. So we've been in communication. I think what we put on was because of the Sand Island site we had already established, but it is the intent to also continue to reach out to the higher education centers here as well.
While going online, let's go to Dr. Keone Dudley. Go right ahead. Dr. Dudley, if you could unmute, please, for us.
Okay.
There we go. We can hear you.
Thank you. I have a few questions. First of all, I want to thank KHON, Hawaii News Now, and possibly KITV and the Star Advertiser for being here to cover this. I want to say that I think that your presentation was extremely deceptive. You're avoiding saying the things that are going to crush this island. How many robots do you have that are going to be working? How many robots? Tell me, sir.
The exact number of robots, but when you speak of robots, do you mean arms moving, or do you mean the robots that move the product on the floor in the upper levels?
All of them.
Well, I don't know of any armed robots, but I do know that we have robots on the floor that move product outside of the workspace of the employees. It's a very technical way of moving product throughout the facility.
How many? How many?
I don't have the number. It just depends on how they store the product.
Small wonder that you don't have the number. They're going to replace human beings. Our problem is that you guys are going to drive people out of business. You're going to have people without jobs. You're going to drive people into homelessness. This is just too big. How many trucks do you have now, and how many trucks will you have with this new building? Sir?
Trucks are third-party driven. So as far as owned, Amazon does not own the trucks that will deliver the product to the facility or take it out. And inside the report that we provided in our application, it shows you exactly how many trips for trucks. I don't have that right off the top of my head.
Well, again, your very deceptive presentation. You're not telling the truth. How many businesses will go out of business because this big, huge business is taking over? You're going to cover 10 football fields, 10 football fields on the main floor, and 5 more floors of 10 football fields. How many people are you going to drive out of business? How many businesses how are you going to drive out of business?
Could I share some information related to small businesses? So 60% of everything bought on Amazon online is made by a small business. We even have a number of sellers here in Hawaii, pop up a KK where they actually sell their items. They're fulfilled by Amazon. And new businesses that start here in Honolulu will also have an opportunity to sell online. And so I want to make sure I was clear about that 60% of everything you buy from Amazon is made by a small business.
Okay, fine. Now, how many small businesses here are you going to drive out of business because you are there providing so terribly, terribly much stuff? How many businesses are you going to drive out of business? Nobody's got an answer. Okay, let me ask you, are you at all aware that we only have 20 years before the population of the exploding population in the world is we're going to run out of food? Did you know that's going to happen around 2050? And if you do, what are you going to do about it? You know, is Amazon going to be able to survive? They say that we're going to have mass migrations. They say we're going to have wars for food. 1/3 of the people won't have enough water because we're expanding population so terribly fast. Do you know about that? What are you going to do about that? We're out in the middle of the Pacific. If all of a sudden nations go into chaos like the United Nations is telling us and our nation is hiding from us, if nation after nation goes into chaos, what happens to you folks? And when you stop bringing stuff in, we die. Could you answer that, please? Do you know about that? Are you working on that?
Point of order, Chair.
Who made a point of order? Okay, well, please state your point. Okay, now hearing a clarification of the point, recognizing that the speaker has reached his 3 minutes. So if Amazon would like to provide a response at this time, great. And if not, we can move on to the next order of business. I ask everyone's indulgence because we're still talking about Amazon, but let's shift to actionable items. And the first, if the board has no problem, to take out of order the action on board business resolution establishing resolution B, which has been renamed to establishing a permitted interaction group to facilitate public participation, fact-finding, and advisory review of Project Savoy, Amazon Kapolei-Honokai Fulfillment Center. Is there an objection to take this up at this time? Seeing none, we will now take up the resolution and then continue to have this conversation about Amazon's situation. Okay. The chair's recommendation is to adopt the resolution. Is there a motion? It's been moved by Dr. Bosler and seconded by Hale. Before we take public testimony, let me summarize what this resolution proposes us to do. The resolution proposes to form the Savoy Permitted Interaction Group, a legally authorized community-focused team to gather public input, study impacts, and draft non-binding mitigation and benefit options for Project Savoy, the Amazon warehouse project. It includes board members, community stakeholders, a resource partner, and a developer liaison. This permitted interaction group will examine traffic, housing, workforce, environmental, cultural, noise, and infrastructure concerns that we've heard loud and clear from the community, prepare factual summaries, option analysis, and advisory draft language with clear non-binding disclaimers, and report back to the full board and the committee They're charged to do this over the course of 6 months, over the course of 6 meetings, and engaging with us in a more appropriate space. And this PIG cannot negotiate or enter into any binding agreements, and its role is strictly advisory and allow us to to have the necessary conversation about this massive project that is very different than us talking about whether or not they're going to put another Chick-fil-A, right? So the questions I'm hearing from the community are extremely valid. What I'm suggesting and the board is motion to do is that we take this process seriously and use the mechanisms in the city that we have in order to set up this permitted interaction group and then have the conversations and invite people to actually those conversations and produce findings in conjunction so that we're not just doing it on the fly and we're being up and up about the questions and concerns. So that is the proposal. Is there any public testimony? Recognizing that the chair has received over 27 different public testimonies in support from individuals from the community and 13 different organizations. And those 13 organizations have asked to actually be part of this permanent interaction group. It's like, is there anyone wishing to further testify on the setting up the permitted interaction group? Dr. Keone Dudley, go right ahead. We're not hearing Dr. Dudley, so if he gets his audio back, then we'll bring it back up. So let me just clarify that this motion before us, the chair would like to bifurcate into 3 different motions. The first motion is to affirm and confirm all of the participants that have asked to participate. See, the second is to confirm the board members that will participate. And the third is the whole package and process that we just talked about. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Any objection to bifurcating the vote? No objection. Okay, Dr. Dudley, going back to your public testimony. Go right ahead.
Okay. I also think that we need 2 years to work on this with Amazon, with everybody else. I would like to see something put into the resolution saying that we ask that all votes on this project stop for 2 years to give this group time to study the situation with Amazon.
That is the request from Dr. Dudley for an amendment. Is there any board member that's wishing to actually make that amendment at this time? Seeing no one moving or seconding at this time, the motion fails. Okay. Now let's come back to the 3 motions before us. The first is we have community members. Michael Gulio Sr. of Palehua Community Association, Sasha Kahele Myers of the Aialoa Terraces Homeowners Association, Dr. Sylvia Hussey from Papa Ololokahi, Naomi Kukak from Aloha Carbon, Reverend Mark Paleo Nui Hallworth from Halau Va'a Episcopo, Dre Kalili from the Association of Hawaiian Civic Clubs, Dr. Kelly E. Benton from Kaala Farms Incorporated, Lance Holden of Ahuhui Sidila Hawaii o Kapolei, John and Rita Shockley from Free Access Coalition, Vika Kane and Denise Della Sabas of Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center, Michael Gulio Jr. from Pride at Work Hawaii, Pauline Sato and Justine Zucker from Malama Learning Center, Vanessa Lum and Mabel Hunkin Villages of Kapolei Association. Chair recognizes that this is a broad spectrum of community partners and people that are rooted here, that do work here, that we know. And basically, they're willing to do this assessment on our behalf with us. Is there any public testimony regarding this? Seeing no public testimony, any discussion on the partner's sole name? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed, say a'ole. Any kanalua, same sign. Hearing none, chair confirms all of those community partners. Now, drum roll. Now we need to vote on the 4 members from the neighborhood board. Right now. Yeah. You'd like to- Yep. Okay, to community members, right now in the resolutions are named myself, Carol England, Michael Ferrera, and Sheila Maderas. For board members, recognizing that this is board conversation, anyone wishing to publicly testify and whether or not we should switch any of these people? Hearing no public testimony. Okay, Dr. Dudley, go right ahead. Okay, not hearing Dr. Dudley having issues. Anyone here wishing to make a substitution at this time?
I'm here.
Okay, Dr. Dudley, go right ahead.
I've written you that I want to be on that committee.
Yes, but in the resolution, those are the four names that are present. Those are the four names that came up first. And now we're asking the board members whether or not they want to substitute. So I'm asking for anyone wishing to substitute. Seeing no one willing to make the motion or second, the recommendation fails, and those are the four people. So now let's just take the whole thing up, recognize the board's cool with those four people. We're cool with the community members. All in favor of the resolution as a whole? Say aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions at Kanalua? Okay, I see Kaala for opposition or abstention.
Just lowering my hand, Kamai.
Okay, no worries. So chair calls it unanimous. Recognize that we are 3 minutes over, but there is a timetable for the DPP variance requests for 60 feet to 100 feet. So the chair will entertain any public testimonies for recommendation of the chair. After hearing everyone, the recommendation of the chair is that we conditionally support the variance requests pending the findings and recommendation of the permitted interaction group that we just tasked with this. So recognizing the good faith effort of Amazon that they trying to do whatnot, but also recognizing that they might not be as forthcoming with the ugly and bad sides as well. That's why we set up the process, but in good faith, the recommendation of the chair is that we conditionally approve support pending the findings and recommendations of the permitted interaction group. Is there a motion? It's been moved by Mick Ferrera, second. It's seconded by Kara England. Any public testimony at this time? Go ahead.
Oh, just one technicality, just the zone change application rather than a variance for the language of the motion.
Okay, I'll take that as non-substantive. Okay, any other persons wishing to testify? Community feels good with, we're figuring this out together with a potential major developer that we're gonna have a 6-month or maybe longer process, because the resolution doesn't say how long. It just asks them, please try and complete it in 6 months for everyone's sanity. Okay, seeing no one else come in, come on up, yeah.
Hi, Leticia Hernandez again. When I was looking at the site, in one of the pictures,
Yep.
is that right along the Hawaiian Railway? Do you know? I believe so, because if I was looking at it, it's right behind, right?
Okay.
So as you're going, that's gonna be our view to the left. If we're coming out of Kapolei, going into Ko'olina, traveling to wherever it goes, it's gonna be the direct view to the left. Yeah, no, but you guys are requesting to go 5 versus standard, I believe right now is 2 to probably 3 stories. You guys are now wanting to go 5. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, when you guys are tasked to do this, that we also include the Hawaiian Railway because they are along that route.
Yep.
And because I want to use it, I want to make sure I get there before that goes up. But I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Mahalo, recognizing the concern, and it will be referred to the permitted interaction group. Seeing no one else coming up to publicly testify, was like, all those in favor, is there any objection? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, chair recognizes 1 abstention, otherwise chair calls it by majority. Okay, awesome. With that, we are over time, and Louis Law for being patient and putting your questions. Please feel free to come to have conversations with myself, the board members, or Amazon after we finish officially. So at this time, due to time, the chair would just simply say mahalo nui loa, and we are adjourned at 10:06.